I have to take my Red Cross exam tonight.
Well, I hope you pass, Daddy.
Thanks, so long.
Goodbye. Oh, poor Daddy. He'll do anything to get out of the house.
Well, I guess Snooks is asleep now. She's been quiet for 3 minutes. Where's my hat?
Here it is, Daddy.
Snooks! Didn't you promise me you wouldn't leave your bed tonight?
Uh-huh.
And didn't I promise to spank you if you did?
Uh-huh.
Well?
Well, I didn't keep my promise, so you needn't keep yours.
All right. I won't spank you if you go back to bed right now.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Must we go through this again tonight?
Yeah, every night.
Well, I'm tired of it. I put you to bed and you hop out again. In again, out again.
I'm like a rubber ball, ain't I?
Yes.
You want to see me bounce out?
No. I don't want to see you bounce on your head.
I wasn't going to
I don't care. Now, don't make me yell at you. I have to be very calm this evening.
Why?
I'm going to take my Red Cross examination. I'm studying first aid.
Can you drink it?
Now, why should you drink first aid?
Ain't it like lemonade? No, it ain't like lemonade.
First aid is the immediate temporary treatment given in case of accident before the doctor arrives. And now I have to go.
Where's the accident, Daddy?
There isn't any accident.
Then where you going?
To take my examination. Will you please go to bed, Snooks?
No.
Oh, why not?
I want to see the accident.
Snooks? Now stop that. I told you there wasn't any accident. I'm just learning what to do in case there's an accident.
Well, let's conk Robespierre with a baseball bat.
You savage little heathen. Conk Robespierre with a baseball bat.
Yeah, conk 'em.
Don't you ever express such wicked thoughts again as long as you live. Conk Robespierre.
Shall we conk Mummy?
We won't conk any...
Shall we?
Now you're going from the ridiculous to the sublime. I won't be an accessory to any of your conking parties. But what you do after I leave is your own business. Good night.
Good night, Daddy. Oh, Daddy.
Well?
Where you going?
To a meeting of the Red Cross. Now, please, Snooks, I don't want to be late for this thing.
What do you have to do, Daddy?
Oh, it's almost like being a doctor.
Is that why you're carrying that black bag?
Yes, of course.
Show me the baby. Yeah, in the bag.
There isn't any baby in the bag, silly.
Well, every time the doctor goes to hand selfie with a black bag, he brings
Oh,
another...
nonsense. This bag contains bandages, splints, and tape, and stuff like that. It's just a little emergency kit.
Well, I want to see him.
See who?
The little kid.
Kids, not kid. Here, look in the bag. Go ahead.
All right. Oh, what's this wood for, Daddy?
Those are splints. We use those whenever there's a broken bone. Do you have any idea how many bones there are inside of you?
You mean from those sardines I ate?
No. Your own bones. Take your spine, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
That bony thing that runs down your back.
Is it running, Daddy?
No, you can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Right there. That's your spinal column.
Mm-hmm.
Your head sits on one end.
And I sit on the other.
Exactly. And in your spine, there are a great many bones called vertebrae.
How many?
Ah, see? If I hadn't studied first aid, I'd never know the answer to that.
Well, how many is there?
Well, there's 7 cervical, 12 thoracic, 6, 8 lumbar, I think, and, sacral. Well, just take the leg.
What about the spine?
Oh, it doesn't really matter. If you break that, you're finished anyhow.
Good thing you know the answers, ain't it, Daddy?
But I have another look at that textbook.
Yeah, I think so.
Here, Snooks, take the book and ask me some of the questions.
All right. Shall I... Where
Just
shall I
start
start?
on the bones of the head. See it there, the cranium.
No. All I see is a man with his outside off and his inside sticking out.
That's a skeleton. You have one of those inside of you.
Huh?
Sure. So have I. So has Mommy and Robespierre. We all have those things inside of us.
We're a wonderful family, ain't we, Daddy?
Wonderful. Come on, hurry up. Call out a few questions on the bones of the head. You've got it right there. Let's start with the maxilla.
What?
Maxilla.
Maxilla House coffee time?
No, maxilla. Jawbone. Don't you remember the story about Samson?
Samson who?
Samson, the strong man. The one who slew 1,000 Philistines.
Oh, yeah.
Well, how did he slay them?
I don't know.
You do, too. With... Oh, what am I pointing to?
Oh, I know, the jawbone of an ass.
Right. Well, let's skip the bones for a while. Ask me something else.
Here's a good one, Daddy. If a man is suffering from a hemstitcher...
Hemorrhage.
Yeah. How do you cut off his blonde supply?
Blood supply? You can't even read. That's blood supply.
Well, how do you cut it off?
With a tourniquet. Now, hurry up. I don't want to be late for this exam.
If a woman's back is very sunburned, what do you do?
A woman, huh?
Yeah, a woman.
Sunburned back.
Sunburned back.
Can't think. What do you do if a woman burns her back?
It says turn over.
They mean turn the page.
Oh, just a second, Daddy. Here it is. Roll her over a bell and pull her tongue out and tie her...
Oh, you've skipped 2 pages. That's the chapter on drowning. And it says never to roll a person on a barrel.
Well, when you ask me the question.
No, I've got to leave. Give me my bag.
No, take me with you, Daddy.
Well, what do you want to go for?
I like accidents.
I'm leaving. They're waiting for me to pass my bandaging test. A man's going to act as a patient.
Try it on me first.
I haven't got... Oh. All right, Snooks. Hop into bed.
All right.
There. Now, put your hands together and lie flat. Now, watch how fast I bandage you.
Yeah.
There. Now, give me your feet.
Together?
Yes. There. Now, this is called the cravat bandage. Tell me if it's too tight.
I like it.
Fine. Now, one big bandage right around your body.
What are you tying it around the bed for, Daddy?
Now, some tape across your mouth. Can you move, Snooks? Fine. Good night.
Well, Mr. Race finally got up enough courage last night to tell Marge he had lost all his money in that real estate deal when the city didn't take the property on which he had the option. Marge had insisted that he tell Jane, but somehow Mr. Race couldn't break it to her. Our scene now is the Ace's bungalow the next evening just after dinner. Mr. Race is alone in the living room. Here comes Marge in the next room. Listen.
Ace, you simply got to tell her tonight. I can't stand this suspense.
Well, you seem to be bearing up all right.
Well, I'm over the first shock of the news, and I don't mind telling you I spent a pretty horrible night, though. Now, look, Jane's in there talking to Laura, and you've got to get ready to break it to her as soon as she comes in here.
Oh, Marge, I know, but
What's
I just
it going to get you, putting it off? She's got to be told, and right away. Why, this very house isn't yours anymore.
Oh, I know
And
it.
you're going to have to be doing something about... Oh, I don't know. Are you going to have to move, or... Well, you simply have to tell her, and right now, we've got to talk plans. How can we if you keep Jane in the dark about what's going on?
Yes, I guess you're right, Marge.
Well, of course I am. Now, look, if it'll make it any easy for you, I'll be right here when you do it.
Will you?
Yes, anything. Just get it over with.
Well, okay, when she comes in, I'll just...
Here she is.
Oh, there you are. I thought you were in your room, Marge. Well, I'm glad you're both here. Now I can get this over with. Sit down, Marge.
You better sit down, Jane.
I will. I'm not going to read this whole thing to you standing up.
Read what?
This letter. What did I tell you at dinner?
I didn't hear anything about a letter.
You didn't. Dear, you heard me, didn't you?
What?
Oh, what's the matter with everybody around here? Am I talking to myself? I might as well be an echo. I spent all that time at dinner telling you about this long letter I got from my sister, and that I'd read it to you after dinner, and you say what? And you, Marge.
I'm sorry, Jane. I guess I was a little absent-minded at dinner.
Well, I hate to get sarcastic, Marge, but a little? Well, enough joking around. I better get started reading all this. My sister doesn't write me very often, but when she does, and how,
Jane, you'll have to hold that letter for a few minutes today.
Just a minute now, Marge. I've been trying to finish this letter all day, and I couldn't get a chance. Now I'm going to finish it on My Name's Maud. I've only read up to page 12.
Page 12?
Yes, look at her, huh? She can write as much as this.
You've only read till page 12?
Yes, but I'll start from the beginning.
No, you don't have to. How is it up until there?
Well, it's very interesting as far as I've gone, but I'm going to start from the beginning. You won't understand it. It's like coming in the middle of a movie.
Hey, you better...
Now, Marge, hold your horse. I'm starting to read this now. My dear, she writes so bad. My dear, oh yes, Jane. My dear Jane. Well, I suppose if I didn't write you, you would never write me. But if I remember correctly, I wrote you last, and you should have written me. But if I waited for you to write, I'd never write this. I thought I answered her last letter. Did I answer her last letter?
Don't look at me. I don't know.
No, I'm not asking you. I was just wondering.
Oh.
Well, it's too late now. Let me see. Oh, yes. I'll just have to swallow my pride and write you, even if you didn't write me, when I wrote you my last letter and you didn't write. But I guess I ought to be used to you not writing, because once before you didn't write when I wrote you, and I wrote you that time, too, telling you you hadn't written.
She's certainly a stickler for form, your sister Ethel, isn't she?
Yes. Well, I guess I better not stand on cemetery, so...
On what?
What?
What'd you say?
I'm reading this letter. Where was I now?
Standing on a cemetery, I believe.
Ceremony, isn't it, Jane?
Yes, ceremony. Did you read this when I left it lying on the table?
No, I didn't read it, and if you have to go through with it, go on and let's get it over with.
Well, I'm trying to. I guess I better not stand on ceremony. Oh, well, so here goes. If I have to stand on ceremony with my own sister, it's just too bad, even if she doesn't write when she's written to. And I'm writing this hoping you will write right away.
Oh, I see. You didn't write her. Is that...
Yes, that's what she's hinting at.
Oh, I see. I didn't
That's a nice
get
bit of
that.
hinting.
Yes. Right now, there's another right. Right now, I have some very important things to write you.
What does that mean?
Nothing. Here's another one to write you. So, here goes.
There she goes again.
How many pages is that, Jane?
4. She writes big.
Yeah.
So here goes. It's about Betty. She has reached 18 and is now going on 19. Being my only child, I am very worried about her. As you know, she left school 2 years ago and took a business course. Now there isn't any business. As you know, her father has never reached the pinnacle of success, you might say.
Pinnacle?
Pinnacle, Jane.
Pinnacle?
Yes, pinnacle of success.
Oh, has never reached the pinnacle of success. And for the last 6 months or so, he has done nothing but play cards. Oh, it is pinnacle.
Oh, yes, I guess it is pinnacle. But what's all this leading to?
Hush, dear, I'm coming to it. Betty is the brightest child I have ever seen. I don't have to write you about how bright my own child is, because I write you so seldom, and you write me so seldom.
Well, that's where I came in, I think.
What?
What is she driving at, Jane? Go on about Betty.
I am, if you
All
two would
right,
stop.
but go ahead.
And you write me so seldom that I don't have to tell you about Betty. Everybody says the same thing about her. She is unusually bright, and I know she would make a marvelous secretary for somebody. How is your dear husband?
Oh, so that's what
We think about him often, and I feel sure that he will find Betty the brightest secretary he ever had.
What?
That's what she said.
Now is the time to tell
And
her.
listen to this. We can't get her interested in any of the boys in this town because she really is too bright for them. And we feel sure that once she is away from home, she will become interested in any of them you care to introduce her to.
What is this?
Jane, is Ethel sending that child of hers here?
Yes, sir. She's on her way.
On her way?
Yes, wait till I come to that part.
Isn't that awful?
More awful than Jane thinks. You better tell her now.
But the girl's on her way, Ma. Is that what she said, Jane?
Uh-huh. She's coming by bus. Wait till I read it to you.
Here?
Yes. Now, all you have to do is to fire Miss Wilson and give her the job in your office.
Oh, Jane, stop it.
No. She doesn't just have to stop her. What did you say, Jane?
I said all you have to do is to fire Miss Wilson.
I did.
And give Betty the job in your... What did you say?
I say I fired Miss Wilson already.
Tell her all of it.
I'm going to.
All of what? What is it?
Well, Jane, I've been meaning to tell you this for the past 3 or 4 days. I just didn't have the heart. You remember that deal I told you I was working on, the one where I put up everything we had to get a certain option on a piece of property?
Yes, you mean you made all that money and we're sitting on Trinity Street?
Well, that's close. I didn't make the money, and we're sitting on the street.
And it's not pretty.
It was a chance I took, Jane. I told you I was taking it. You said you understood, and I thought there was little or no chance of it going wrong. But, well, it just did. To put it bluntly, I'm wiped out. Out of the real estate business, out of everything. Even, well, I had to mortgage this home for almost everything. We're going to have to give it up, I'm afraid. Just start over from scratch. Oh, I know it doesn't do any good now to say how sorry I am to do this to you, Jane. I don't care about myself because, well, as far as I'm concerned personally, I could live in a garret, in a single room, hardly big enough for one.
For two, dear.
For two?
Oh, Jane, honey, I knew you would. There you are, you big blood. You didn't I tell you? Oh, Jane, you're a peach.
I am?
Are you? Why, you're just... Well, what are you standing there like that for? Haven't you got anything to say to this one girl in a million?
Yes, I have.
Well, say it.
Betty is not coming to live with us.
What? Oh, right back where
But she can't, Marge. You ought to be able to see that. How can she come here now? I haven't got enough worries. I've got to take on a secretary. Or maybe she can make a note of the turn downs I get when I start looking for a job.
A job?
Well, sure. What else? I don't mind going to work, Jane.
You don't, dear?
Of course not. The only thing I really dreaded was breaking this awful news to you. Now that I've got that off my mind, well, I just feel like I can tackle anything. Jane, you're really... Well, I can't say it.
Why?
Why? Well, because...
Well, that's the closest he's ever come to saying it. We better let it go at that, Jane.
Yes, and let's get back to this Betty. We've got to stop her.
No, we can't, dear. She's on her way. She took the bus and she's coming.
Isn't that awful? What are we going to do with her? You better write your sister and tell her.
Oh, I should say not. Write her and tell her that you lost all your money. I should say not. What'll they think?
Well, they'll think they better send for Betty.
Oh, I will not. Then she'll tell my mother, and the first thing you know, everybody in our town will know it. Oh, no. It's bad enough that we know it. I can't do that, can I, Marge?
I think I see your point, Jane.
Well, the fact remains, whether we let them know or not, we can't keep that girl here.
Well, we can't send her back if we got all our money.
But we haven't. We've lost her.
But they don't know it.
Well, there you are. That's why I say...
Listen, I think Jane's gone through enough for one evening. Now, let me try to solve this for the moment.
But there's nothing to solve.
Now, listen to me. We can't stop the girl from coming, can we?
I guess not, but we don't have to keep her here. Where can we keep her? We've got to start looking around for some place to live.
We have to leave here, don't we?
Yes, we do, Jane.
I'm going to miss this place. Why, it's been, well, almost like home to me.
Almost like home.
Yes, look how long we've lived here.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be tough breaking away, Jane. But once you do get away and move into new surroundings, and Ace gets going again...
Sure, I'm not always going to be down. I'm willing to work. Why, given half a chance, I'll do even better than this.
You will? Yeah.
And let's not have any more tears, Jane. Well, we all feel bad enough about this. Let's try to look at the bright side. Maybe a bright future somewhere.
All right.
Come on now, Jane. Don't break down after you've done this so well.
I won't, Marge. Oh, there now.
That's better.
Well, I guess I might as well answer this letter now.
Answer the letter? I thought you said it was too late. You mean you can still stop that
No,
girl?
I can't do anything about Betty now. She's already coming here.
Well, you don't have to answer this right this minute, then, do you?
Yes, I better. It's on account of this P.S. that Ethel wrote.
P.S.? What P.S.?
Well, every time she wants me to answer quick, she gets me curious, and then I have to write and find out.
Find out what? What's the P.S.?
Well, here it is. Here. P.S. Guess who died?
Guess who died? Well, that's a fine way to end a letter.
And another P.S. It looks like Betty gets the job. Just what job and just how Betty fits job and just...
It's the Frontline Theater. Frontline Theater presents a story based on the life of one of America's most colorful characters, Steve Brody. The Good Old Days, starring Brian Dunleavy. Our production also calls for the incidental music of Joe Reichman and his orchestra. A hearty welcome to Frontline Theater, men. This is your theater, and every performance is presented especially for you, the men and women of the United Nations. But before we get into tonight's play, The Good Old Days, here's Joe Reichman and his orchestra with a musical curtain raiser.
Listen to my baby falling, drip, drop, drip, drop. Listen to the tears a falling, drip, drop, drip, drop. If she don't get whatever she wants, the tears roll down. One more hour of this shower, get out the boat or we'll all drown. Listen to my baby weeping, drip, drop, drip, drop. Made a promise I ain't keeping, drip, drop, drip, drop. My feet are getting soaking wet. Ain't Noah's Ark around here yet. I'll blow my top if you don't stop that drip, 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 drop. Listen to my baby weeping, drip, drop, drip, drop. Made a promise I ain't keeping, drip, drop, drip, drop. My feet are getting soaking wet. Ain't Noah's Ark around here yet. I'll blow my top if she don't stop that drip, 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 drop, drip, drop. I'll blow my top if she don't stop that drip, 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 drop.
But now the house lights dim, and the curtain rises on Act One of The Good Old Days, starring Brian Dunleavy as Steve Brody. Take a chance, Steve Brody did. Yes, ever since Steve Brody's famous leap from the Brooklyn Bridge, those famous words have been the alibi for 2 generations of reckless schemes. But why did Steve do it? Well, it all started one night at Mulligan's Bar, where Daisy, his girlfriend, was singing. Steve had bought an engagement ring for Daisy, not a very big one, but one he'd been saving up for months for. He was just like a big kid.
Hello, Steve. What brings you over to Mulligan's?
Well, I got something to talk to you about, Daisy. Let's get away from this noise, huh?
Well, sure. We can talk in the back room. Come on.
Yeah.
In here, Steve.
Daisy, you look great. Got a new dress, huh?
Uh-huh. You like it?
I sure do. It's almost as blue as your eyes.
Same old Steve. Same old Blarney.
Daisy, look, I bought...
Steve, you should have seen the party John L. Sullivan had here last night. A crowd of uptown swells.
John L., that big hunk of beefsteak brings Mulligan all his business. Well, Daisy, what I wanted to say was...
I bet I sang after the ball 10 times. And Steve, take a look at this ring.
Daisy, is that rock a real diamond?
It sure is. Diamond Jim Brady gave it to me for a tip.
Oh, he did? Mr. Brady's sure free with his sparklers, ain't he?
Well, what are you getting sore about?
Oh, nothing. Only that rock would make any other guy's ring look sick, wouldn't it?
Steve, did you buy me a ring?
What gave you that idea? I ain't a good time, Charlie.
Oh. Well, what'd you want to tell me?
Huh? Oh, nothing. Nothing at all. Oh, John L. Sullivan's here again.
Sure, he's always here.
Mulligan, I can lick any man in the world.
Yes, sir? Yeah, he makes me sick, that big windbag.
You wouldn't dare call him that to his face.
Who wouldn't? I ain't afraid of that big loud mouth.
Oh, Chief, come back here.
So you let him have it,
Yes, sir, Mulligan. It was in the 6th round. Bare knuckle fight, of course. So I says to my opponent, I says, you've gone far enough. So I uncorks the rifle. Well, hello, Brody.
Oh, hello, John L. The big hunk of beefsteak himself, huh?
Well, if it isn't my friendly competitor, can I treat you to a drink?
No, thank you, Mulligan. I do my drinking in my own joint. I know what I'm getting there.
Now, that's no way to talk, Brody. I'm sure Mr. Mulligan has nothing against a small businessman like yourself.
Small businessman. Listen, Sullivan, someday Steve Brody's saloon is going to be the place on the Bowery.
Now, Steve, don't start anything.
All right, go ahead, laugh. But I won't need any big windbag hanging around to put my joint over.
And who would you be referring to as a windbag?
Well, I could be referring to you, Mr. Sullivan.
Oh, yes?
But I ain't.
Yeah, it's lucky that you ain't, because John L. can tear you apart with his bare hands.
Right, Mulligan.
Yes, sir.
I can lick any man in the world.
Yeah, I know. I read all about that in the Police Gazette. Listen, Sullivan, going around knocking guys down with your fists don't get you no place. Not if you want to be a big guy.
Why, John L.'s the biggest guy in this town. 210 pounds of bone and muscle.
I mean big like President Garfield. You think he went around knocking guys down to get in the White House? He used his brain. That's what I'm going to do.
Oh, you're going to be president. Brody for president.
So you're going to be a big guy, huh?
Yeah. I'll have bigger diamonds than Jim Brady. All right. I'll have more stocks than Charlie Schwab. And I'll have more furs and real estate and houses and horses than Mr. Astor. Wait a minute. You get this, Sullivan. One of these days, I'm going to make joints like Mulligan's here look sick.
Well, I wish you luck, Steve. I expect to see your business thriving when I get back.
Oh, yeah? Where are you going, Mr. Sullivan?
Me? Oh, I'm going to San Francisco, California to knock out Paddy Ryan. Well, ain't you heard about the fight?
Yeah, I heard about the fight, but I ain't heard how you're going to knock out Paddy Ryan.
Brody, if I didn't know you had the wild imagination of a crazy Irishman, I'd knock you out.
Yes, he would.
Oh, don't pay any attention to Steve, Mr. Sullivan.
Why, everybody knows John L.'s going to win. Mr. Richard K. Fox of the Police Gazette is even installing a ticker tape in here the night of the fight.
A ticker tape in here? What for?
So my customers can get the fight results right from the ring in San Francisco.
Well, you're going to look awful sad, Mulligan, when you read the results to your customers.
You want to make any bets on that, Brody?
Sure. I got a pocket full of Paddy Ryan dough, and it says that John L. is going to get knocked out.
I'll take your dough, Brody.
Steve, wait a minute. What'll you do if John L. wins?
Don't you worry, Daisy. I'll take a chance.
Quiet, everybody, if you want to hear about the big fight. Anybody seen Steve Brody?
Yeah, I'm there, Mulligan.
Well, the results of the John L. Sullivan and Paddy Ryan fight are coming in on the ticket. All right, read it to us, will you, Mulligan? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to announce that John L. Sullivan just knocked out Paddy Ryan in the second round. Still the champion. Everybody to the bar. Drinks on the house. Quick, Kevin, will you? I'm here first. Thanks, Brody. That was the quickest $50 I ever picked up.
Ah, shut up, Mulligan.
What a sucker.
Hey, Steve, I told you not to bet all that money. Nobby, so help me. One crack out of you, and I'll let you have it.
Nah, don't get sore, Steve.
Look, Nobby, you're my bartender, not my nursemaid.
Oh, you know I'm your pal. Gee, what are you going to do?
Oh, honest, Nobby, I don't know. That big bum, Paddy Ryan. Nobby, I got to get $100 and right away, too.
You got as much chance of getting $100 around here as jumping off the Brooklyn Bridge.
Oh, I don't know. There must be some way that we could... Hey, wait a minute. Nobby, say that again.
What, Steve? Say what again?
About the bridge, the bridge.
Now, wait a minute. It ain't that bad. Huh? You ain't going to commit suicide.
Listen, Nobby. I'm the best diver in the world. You know that. I can even dive off the Brooklyn Bridge if I want to.
Steve, listen. Who's going to dive off the Brooklyn Bridge?
I am, Mr.
Oh,
Mulligan.
you are. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to announce that our good friend Steve Brody is going to jump off the Brooklyn Bridge.
And he can do it. And furthermore, I'm taking any and all bets.
Oh, Steve, I hope you know what you're doing.
Sure, I know what I'm doing, Daisy. I'm going to jump off the Brooklyn Bridge.
Steve, just look at that bridge up there. How high it is.
All right, Nobby, so it's high. You think I was going to get killed or something?
There's worse things than being killed. You could be permanently injured.
Look at that crowd up there, though, Nobby. I can't back out now. Listen, all you got to worry about is keeping this rowboat close by so that you can pick me up out of the water.
Okay, Steve, I'll be waiting for you.
Yeah, well, I'll get out and go on up. I'll see you later.
Don't worry. Go on. Mr. Sheridan, I say that Steve Brody will never have the nerve to jump off this bridge.
You got a bet, Mr. Mulligan. Well, it's nice to see I got such a big reception.
Brody, it's going to be a wonderful feeling you'll have standing out there in that girder, all alone on the very top of the bridge, looking down for miles and miles with nothing under you but the cool green water itself. I wonder what you'll be thinking.
I'll be thinking, Mulligan, how I'm going to win enough dough to put joints like yours out of business.
Jumping off this bridge, take a care, Brody, you don't put your own joints out of business.
Steve, you can't do this. You'll get killed. What do you care what this bunch of hoodlums think? You can't do this crazy thing.
Listen, Daisy, I'm going to jump. And I'm going to jump now. All right, stand back, you guys. You'll get drowned by the splash.
Oh, you're all murderers. That's what you are. Steve is committing suicide.
Well, he said he'd jump off the bridge. It was the last act of his life, and it probably will be.
Look at him. He's crawling out there on the girder.
He's getting on his feet. He's going to fall. No. He's steady now.
Hey, is this bridge shaking, or is it just Brody's knees?
Look at him out there posing. Hey, he's getting ready. And there he goes.
If he was going to come up, he'd be up by now.
It's getting so dark we can hardly see. I don't see him.
Oh, Steve's been drowned. I know it.
Hey, there's Nobby and that boat coming in.
Sure, and that's Steve with him.
Bravest guy in the Bowery.
Oh, Steve! Steve, are you all right?
Sure I am. Hey, somebody grab a hold of the boat.
I'll get it, Nobby. I'll get it.
Back up and get the guy.
You see, Daisy? Just like I said, nothing to it.
Oh, Steve.
Look out, Daisy. You'll get all wet.
I don't care. Oh, Steve, you were wonderful. Wasn't he, Mr. Mulligan?
Yeah, sure he was. We all knew you'd do it, Steve. All right, one side, all right.
Holy gee, it's Gallagher, the cop.
Hey, what's going on here?
Didn't you hear, Gallagher? I just jumped off the Brooklyn Bridge.
Really, Brody? So you did it?
So I did it. What do you think of that, Gallagher?
Well, Steve, I think you're a public nuisance, and I'm arresting you for disturbing the peace.
And that was Act One of The Good Old Days, starring Brian Dunleavy as Steve Brody. Now here's Joe Reichman again, this time with Bim Bam Boom. Thank you, Joe Reichman. Now, Act Two of our Frontline Theater production, The Good Old Days, starring Brian Dunleavy as Steve Brody.
Hey, Joe. Joe, did you read this? Fella jumped off Brooklyn Bridge. Poor guy was killed, huh? No, hit the water without a scratch.
Yes, by the time Steve Brody had succeeded in bellowing his way out of jail, all New York had heard about his celebrated jump from the Brooklyn Bridge. For the first time in the history of Steve's Saloon, it's jammed to the rafters with cash customers, and Steve is the man of the hour.
See, Daisy? I told you I'd put this joint over. But now, there's a little matter that you and me got to take up.
Oh, like what, for instance?
Well, like when you and me are going to get hitched.
And who says I'm going to marry you?
I do.
Well, that's different.
You mean you will?
Sure I will, Steve.
Well, seeing as how we're engaged, what about a kiss?
Oh, I beg your pardon.
Oh, listen, brother, can't you see that we're busy? What's the idea of busting in here like that?
I'm very sorry. You see, my name is Charles Hoyt.
Oh, the theatrical producer.
Yes.
Well, how do you do, Mr. Welcome to Steve Brody's. Can I buy you a drink?
No, thank you. I came to see you on a matter of business. Huh? You see, I'm producing a new show, a trip to Chinatown.
Oh, I read about it in the paper, Mr. Hoyt.
And naturally, I'm lining up talent for it.
Well, will you be wanting to sing us?
Yes, indeed.
Well, Mr. Hoyt, you won't find a better voice anywhere in the Bowery than Daisy O'Toole.
I'm sure of that, but...
Steve, I wouldn't leave you now.
Now, listen, Daisy, I ain't going to stand in your way.
I'm afraid you don't quite understand. You see, Mr. Brody, I'm intrigued with the amount of publicity you've received. So I figured that it would be a great idea to put you into my new show.
Me? But
certainly. Why, all New York will want to see Steve Brody.
Well, Mr. Hoyt, I ain't no actor.
Mr. Brody, if you could take a chance off that bridge, I can take a chance on you. Now, be at my office tomorrow morning, and we'll arrange the details.
But I'm
glad to have met you, Miss O'Toole. I'll expect you around 11, Steve.
Well,
goodbye.
Gee, where?
Funny. It was worth thinking it was me.
Me? An actor? Well, what do you know?
Oh, it's crazy. Well, you're not an actor.
Oh, I don't know. Wait a minute. I made it off the bridge, didn't I? But I could make it on the stage. You know, I used to recite a little back in the 9th Street School. Beneath the spreading chestnut tree, the village smithy stands.
Oh, Steve, please.
Imagine me, Steve Brody, up there on the stage in front of the footlights with all the... The smith, a mighty man was he with large and sinewy hands.
Jack, there are these flowers from Mr. Brody's table.
Oui. Henri, you know, in all my years at the Vanderbilt Hotel, I have never seen such a floral decoration.
That bridge jumper.
Oh, tiens, the Bowery invading society.
Jack, here he comes.
Well, hello there, jockey. How's the boy?
Oh, very well, monsieur.
Now, give that champagne an extra twirl tonight, Jackie. It's got to be good and cold, you know.
Oh, it will be, Monsieur Brody.
And keep it coming fast. I got a lot of high-class ladies and gentlemen joining me.
Yes, sir, Jim. In the third round, I uncorked the right that lands Paddy Ryan on the canvas. And then, oh, Steve Brody. Well, how are you?
Hello, John L. What's this joint coming to, letting box fighters in?
You know my pal, Diamond Jim Brady.
Yeah, sure. Hello.
Hello. I saw you in the show, Steve, and you were very good.
Throwing another party, Steve?
Sure, why not?
Hey, Jim, you better watch out. Pretty soon this guy will be stealing your stuff. Lighting cigars with $10 bills.
You should talk, Sullivan, the way you throw your dough around.
Well, with me, it's different. I can lick any man in the world, and I'll never run out of challengers. But what are you going to do when you run out of bridges?
Well, I got other ways of making money. I'm entering a horse at Saratoga.
You bought a horse, Brody?
Mm-hmm.
You don't care how you spend your dough.
Well, dough's to spend. You only live once, and, brother, I'm living now. Hey, jockey, bring my pals here some champagne.
Nobby, I'm worried about Steve.
Huh?
It's been 6 months since we've seen him.
Ah, he's just busy with his swell uptown friends. Ah, but he's spending his money like a crazy loon.
Oh, well, you know how Steve is, Nobby. Sort of like a kid at a party. Always bragging and showing off, but he don't mean it.
Yeah, sure. Don't worry, he'll be around one of these days.
Nobby, I might as well tell you. Steve moved out of that swell hotel.
How do you know?
I was there yesterday. And they acted kind of funny. Like he owed them money.
Well, gee, Daisy, didn't they know where he went?
No. Oh, Nobby. Steve needs us now. I know he does.
Nah, don't worry, kid. Don't worry. I'll look for him.
Wherever he is, you gotta find him and bring him back. Oh, please, Nobby, please.
Hey, mister, tell me something. Have you seen Steve Brody?
I know. He hasn't been here for weeks, sir. Try Rector's. Last time I saw Steve Brody, he was walking back from Saratoga. Address? All he left here were a couple of bum checks.
Hey, you. You, have you seen Steve Brody?
Brody? Yeah, I seen him this morning.
Huh? Where'd he go?
I don't know. He beat it.
Look, listen, I gotta find him.
Yeah, well, why don't you try the bridge? With the looks of him, he was heading for the river.
Hello, Steve.
Hello, Nobby.
Well, it's funny me meeting you here on the bridge. Ain't it, Steve?
What's funny about it? Go away, will you? I got stuff on my mind.
Yeah? What kind of stuff brings you out on a bridge in the middle of a foggy night? You're not planning another leap off the old bridge, are you?
Well, what if I am?
Well, if you are, you're not worth all the trouble you caused me and Daisy.
Daisy? What's she got to do with it?
Who do you suppose has been sticking around the joint to keep it alive?
Joint?
She's got everything to do with it, that's what.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear your joint is still operating, Nobby.
That ain't my joint, Steve. I never signed no papers when you give it to me.
Well, it sure is anyhow. I'm not the kind of a guy that turns back, Nobby.
Oh, you ain't turning back, Steve, because you ain't never been away. That wasn't you up at the Vanderbilt. You've been down here with us all the time.
Ah, you're having a pipe dream, Nobby. Go away, will you?
Listen, Steve. I'm giving you one more chance. Are you coming with me?
Wait a minute. Who's giving who one more what? Listen, Nobby. What makes you think that you can threaten me?
I'll show you what. This. Steve. Hey, Steve, I didn't mean... I was just gonna... Steve. Hey, Steve, say something to your old pal. Speak to me.
What? Why, you lousy, no-good bum.
Well, Steve, there it is. Same old swinging door.
Yeah. And the same old sign. Steve Brody's Saloon. It sure looks good to me, Nobby.
Well, go on in.
Oh.
Go on in. It's still your joint.
Okay.
Hey, guys, look who's here.
Gee, we're Pete's. The same old gang. Clancy?
Oh, how are you, Steve? Glad you're back.
Shaughnessy?
Hello, Steve.
Gee, it's swell of you guys.
Hi, Steve.
Good to have you back.
Well, John L. How are you, bum?
Well, hello, Steve. Hey, did you hear the news?
Huh?
I've signed to meet Jake Kilrain in New Orleans, and I'll slug him out in one round.
Yeah? Well, I'm laying 8-5 on Jake.
Well, welcome home, Steve. It's been no fun without you.
Oh, Mulligan.
Yes, Mulligan.
Oh, you mean no competition, huh?
Well,
Oh. Daisy.
Steve.
Come on, Daisy. Let's you and me get out of here, huh? Daisy, I missed you so much.
Well, I've missed you too, Steve.
I sure made a dunce of myself, didn't I?
Oh, forget it. Say, Steve.
Yeah?
Remember that night, when Mr. Hoyt came in here?
Sure, I remember.
Well, we were talking about getting hitched.
Yeah? Yeah. Well, what of it?
Well, I'm still waiting, Steve.
Oh, stop it, will you, Daisy?
You mean you don't want to marry me?
Oh, it isn't that, but...
But what, Steve?
Well, why should you marry a no-good bum like me?
Well, why not? I'll take a chance. Steve Brody did.
Then you really mean that we should tie the knot?
Well, you big dope. Do I have to draw a diagram?
Daisy.
Oh, gee, Steve. I'm so happy.
Me too. Oh, honey. Everything's going to be great.
Oh, sure it is.
I'll get back on my feet again and I'll make money. Lots of it. I'll do big things. Hey, Daisy, you know what I'm going to do?
What, Steve?
I'm going to go over Niagara Falls in a barrel.
And so down rings the final curtain on The Good Old Days, starring Brian Dunleavy as Steve Brody. Next week, Frontline Theater will present another radio play. And each week thereafter, you will hear radio versions of the best comedies, romances, dramas, and musicals, with your favorite stars in the leading roles. If you have any special play you want to hear, just drop a line to Frontline Theater, Armed Forces Radio, Los Angeles, USA. Frontline Theater was produced by the Armed Forces Radio Service.
Fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty hi-yo Silver, the Lone Ranger. With his faithful Indian companion Tonto, the masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early western United States. The stories of his strength and courage, his daring and resourcefulness, have come down to us through the generations. And nowhere in the pages of history can one find a greater champion of justice. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. From out of the past come the thundering hoofbeats of a great horse, Silver. The Lone Ranger rides again.
Come on, Silver! We're heading for Mountain City! Hi-yo, Silver!
For years, the fur trappers had come down from the mountains in summertime to great meadows. There they sold their furs to the agents of the various companies and bought supplies for the coming winter. In time, a permanent settlement grew up, and Mountain City became the fur capital of the West. It boasted a post office, stores, and cafes, and the warehouses of the Great Western and the Webster Company. But the town slept through the winter and only came to life with the first stirring of spring. Then the tents of the trappers covered the meadow, and Mountain City came into its own. Colorful, exciting, and roaring with the vitality of thousands of men released from their winter prisons.
Howdy, Al. Oh, Johnny Maitland, welcome. The first drinks are on the house.
Oh, thanks.
When'd you get in?
Just now. I haven't even pitched my tent yet.
Where are you first?
I got an engine watching him for me.
How'd you do, Johnny?
Oh, fine. Oh, I'm going to be rich. What's the news, Al?
Well, the big news is the election.
Election?
Yeah. You'll be sorry to hear that old Mike died last month. We haven't got a marshal anymore.
Oh, that's too bad.
So we got to elect another one.
But that don't have much to do with us trappers. What I want to know is...
It sure does. You see, the folks that live here all the year round had a meeting. And we decided that one of you boys ought to be the marshal for the summer.
Why?
Why, because most of us are too busy.
Well, that goes for the trappers, too. They'll be busy having a good time from now until fall.
Oh, it ain't the same thing. And then we want somebody that's young and strong and a dead shot. Somebody like you, Johnny.
Thanks for the kind words, but I don't want to be a lawman.
Well, you wouldn't refuse the job if you was elected, would you?
Hey, you aren't serious, are you?
I sure am. Your name's been mentioned a lot. And we got to have a good marshal this year.
This year?
Well, there's been outlaws at work between here and Salt Lake City. 2 of the Great Western wagon trains have been held up. And just last week, the warehouse was raided right here in town.
But that was before the trappers started coming in. Outlaws will sure steer clear from now on.
Hey, do you know all the men who were camped out in the meadows?
Not all of them, of course not. How could I?
Neither do I. There's no way of telling, Johnny. That outlaw gang might be camping out there with you.
Yeah, they could be, but
that's why we got to have a good marshal. And whether you like it or not, I think you're going to be it.
But there were other men who had different ideas about the election. One of them was Harry Sedley, the Mountain City manager of the Webster Company. He leaned across his desk toward the steely-eyed man who sat opposite him.
You'll have to learn to smile, Rance.
Like this?
You can do better if you keep trying. Got to make the men around here like you.
When you hired me, Seeley, there wasn't anything in our agreement about wearing a badge.
We've got a job ahead. It'll help to have the law on our side.
It always makes it safer.
Yeah. That's why you're going to be the marshal of Mountain City.
Well, I'll follow orders when they suit me.
They'll always suit you if it puts enough money in your pockets.
Remember that.
Have you been talking to the men, buying them drinks?
Oh, sure.
What do they think of the election?
Yeah, not much. But who's Johnny Maitland?
Why?
Who is he?
Well, he's a good man, young, strong as a lion. What about him?
He's a man I'll have to beat.
Young Johnny Maitland.
Tough competition.
Yeah, maybe. Just don't sound like him wanting to be a marshal. But if it's true, if he's out to get the job, I think I can handle him. If I can't, well, we'll get rid of him.
Just at dusk, Tonto rode into the camp, high above the meadows where the Lone Ranger was waiting for him.
Oh, stop, oh, fella, oh, fella. Tony.
What did you find out, Tonto?
Jacob Webster not come in on skates today.
I didn't really expect him yet.
Tonto asked about him at company store, then think Tonto local.
Our information is better than theirs, Kimosabe.
We know he'll be here sometime soon, and this will be our chance to get evidence against him. Kimberly Drexel and Benjamin Steele are in jail. The only two leaders of the Black Arrow left are Webster and Bronson Page. And they're behind bars. We can feel sure the Legion will never spring up again.
That's right.
That's the talk about the election.
Johnny Maitland get here.
That's good. I hope he'll take the job.
How to watch first for him when him go to town to meet other feller.
Has any other name been mentioned?
Rance Corby. Him friend of Sedley.
I don't like that. I think Sedley's as much of a crook as a man who hires him. When you consider that only the Great Western wagon trains have been held up, it's possible that Sedley himself is behind those robberies.
Maybe so.
We'll have to keep a close watch on him, and on Rance Corby, too. Here, you better help me with the disguise, Kimosabe. We're both going into Mountain City tonight.
It's your duty to be marshal, Johnny.
I'll be dogged if I want to.
The election's on Saturday.
I'd like to shake your hand, Johnny Maitland. Huh? Oh, sure. I don't place your face exactly. Well, you don't know me. My name's Rance Corby. I just happened to hear you and Al talking. About the marshal business? Yeah. Some of the boys have been asking me to run. Oh, is that right? Well, listen to this, Al.
I'm listening.
You see, I was one of Wild Bill Hickok's deputies in Abilene.
Why, then you're our man.
But I don't want to be marshal any more than you do.
It's your duty. Back me up, Al. One of Wild Bill's deputies. What more could you ask for? There seems to be an awful lot of deputies from Abilene floating around the country.
We had a big job to do, Al.
You can't get out of this, Rance. We won't take no for an answer. The election's on Saturday, and you're the only one that's going to be nominated.
Hello.
I'll be right here.
Bad news, Kimosabe. Johnny Maitland isn't going to run for the marshal's job.
What that?
He's young. He doesn't like to accept responsibility. That isn't the main reason.
And what you mean?
Rance Corby told him he was one of Wild Bill Hickok's deputies.
Oh, that's not true.
If they ever rode the same trail, then Bill was chasing him. But we can't prove that. We've got to make Johnny change his mind.
And how you do that?
We'll need some help. There's a friend of ours inside who can give it to us.
Who that?
Old Jeremy Blackwood. He didn't recognize me in this disguise, but he'll know you. You go in and get him. Meet me on the edge of town where we left the horses.
How to do that?
Savvy. I make sure Johnny can hear me. Then I start asking Rance all those questions. I'll make myself so plain obnoxious that Rance will have to get mad at me. I've been watching him. It won't take much to get him on the prod.
And afterwards?
I know. Johnny ain't the kind to stand by and see a poor, weak old critter like me get abused. You just leave it to me. So you say your name is Rance Corby?
That's right, old-timer. To buy you a drink?
Nope. I'm sort of particular about the hombres I drink with.
Meaning what?
Wasn't you called Black Pete once?
No.
Didn't you get rid out of Cheyenne on a rail?
No.
Well, Black Pete sure did. You're just about the same build as him. Got the same sneaky look around the eyes, too.
You're looking for trouble, mister, and you're gonna get it.
Yes, sir. More I see of you, the surer I am. That's just the way Black Pete'd talk to a poor old man like me.
I never heard of Black Pete. Never been in Cheyenne, and I'm not a crook. I want you to know I was one of Hickok's deputies in Abilene.
In 72?
Yeah, in 72.
Well, Wild Bill wasn't anywhere close to Abilene in 72. He was in the east with Bill Cody. That just shows you're trying to make yourself out something you ain't.
Shut up.
Not me. I'm just old enough I can speak my piece whenever I've a mind to. And the hombre that lays a hand on me is nothing but a low-down sneaking coyote.
So now I'm a coyote. I'll show you what...
Help me! He's going to kill me!
Get your hands off him, Rick! Hey, did you hear what he was talking to me?
Seemed to me you got your dead to rights about Abilene.
You saying I'm lying?
You sure got mixed up on your dates.
Well, what if I did? Anybody can make a mistake, can't they?
That's their privilege, but they can't lay a hand on Jeremy when I'm around, no matter what he says. That's right, Johnny. You stick up for the old man. You want to get this settled, you can do it with me. Guns or fists, it don't make no difference. Name your poison.
I take guns.
You got no fight with Johnny.
Sedley, you sure aren't asking me to back down.
You got no fight with Johnny.
Just a few minutes ago, you were telling me how much you liked it.
But that old maverick called me a crook and a coyote.
Well, you'll just have to put up with Jeremy the way the rest of us do. Now offer your hand to Johnny and tell him there ain't no hard feelings.
There ain't no hard feelings, Johnny. Will you shake?
Yeah, I'll shake. But I've changed my mind about one thing.
What's that?
You aren't the man to be our marshal. I'm going out for that job myself.
You're a fool, Rance, a fool. Let that old coyote get your goat just when we had it in the bag. With Johnny Maitland behind you couldn't have lost. But now what chance have we got?
Well,
what? You got an excuse?
You said if we couldn't handle him, we could get rid of him. I'm waiting to hear how. You're so smart, it ought to be easy.
Wait a minute. I think I got it. Johnny's partner, what's his name? Ed Lafferty.
There's nobody with that name around here.
Oh, he's got a girl named Rose O'Brien. Her father owns a ranch somewhere between here and Salt Lake. He went to see her instead of coming to Mountain City.
What about it?
You got a sample of the way Johnny acts when his friends are in trouble. Now, if he was to get a message from Ed, or from the girl, that would be better. Why, he'd be in a saddle on his way there in 10 minutes.
Well, what good does that do? You don't have to be here to get elected.
He won't be coming back, Rance. There's 100 places between here and Salt Lake where you can ambush him. You can take your pick.
Jeremy, I gotta be leaving town.
What's up?
An Indian brought me this note this morning. Read it.
Just a second, I'll get my specs out.
Oh, never mind. I'll tell you what it says. It's from Rose. Ed's in some kind of trouble. He wants me to get to the ranch as fast as I can make it. So long, James.
Hold up there, Johnny.
There's no stopping him now.
I don't like this, Al. I don't like this one little bit. I'm going to find that Indian that brought the note. So I did, masked man. I found this running fox, and he admitted he gave Johnny the note. But I'm willing to swear I saw the same Indian in town not 3 days ago. He had a scar on his cheek, right about here.
Tonto see him, too.
Then he couldn't have brought any message from the ranch.
Right. And here, take a look at the note.
This doesn't look like a girl's handwriting.
That's what I say.
Quick, Tonto, into the saddle.
Tonto ready.
Steady, big fella. We'll try to overtake him, Jeremy.
Go to it!
Come on, Silver.
Get him up, Scout. Get him up.
Help, Silver! Hoy!
The curtain falls on the first act of our Lone Ranger story. Before the next exciting scenes, please permit us to pause for just a few moments. Now to continue our story. The Lone Ranger and Tonto urged their great horses along the trail to the south. They had left their camp at noon and raced on and on until the shadows began to lengthen. Then suddenly, a volley of shots rang out. The masked man raised his arm to signal to rein up.
Steady, Silver, steady. Steady, fella. Oh, those shots came from up ahead.
And not far away.
And no more of them. And we'd better.
You look, Kimasabi.
A horse without a rider rounding the bend of the trail.
That Johnny's horse.
We're too late.
Tonto afraid so.
We'll catch the horse and find Johnny. And if we can't do anything for him, we'll go after the crooks that fired those shots. Come on, Silver.
Give him up, Scout. Kimasabi. They're men right in the forest.
I saw them, too. Not long enough to make out their faces.
Light not good now.
They heard us coming.
Maybe so.
Rain up. Easy, boy. Easy.
Fella.
I can't go after them yet. Because there's Johnny at the side of the trail.
And him not move.
Yeah, we're too late. He's still breathing, but it's a bad wound.
Kimasabi, you put bandage on plenty quick.
Yes, Tonto.
There, plant over there. Tonto know how make medicine from it. Maybe that saved Johnny's life.
Hurry, Kimasabi.
Now, you hold him up. Tonto make him drink.
Easy, Johnny. He's too far gone to open his mouth.
There. I him get some. Not enough for now. You let him back.
Is there any chance, Tonto?
Heart's still beating. Pretty soon it beats strong.
Well, let's hope so.
There's plenty strong medicine.
The important thing is to pull him through. But we won't be able to pick up those crooks' trail and follow them now.
Tonto think it Ranch Corbian men.
So do I. But you didn't see them any more plainly than I did.
That's right.
If Johnny does live through,
You've got a plan?
Yes, and it might work. Yes, the heartbeat is stronger. We'll try it anyway, Tonto.
What you mean?
We'll turn Johnny's horse loose. He'll head back for Mountain City, and everyone will think he's dead, including the men who tried to kill him.
Them think so now?
Yes, and so will everyone else. They'll send out a posse. But they won't find him, Kimosabe. They won't see Johnny again until the night before the election.
It was less than an hour before daybreak the following night when the Lone Ranger pulled Silver to a sliding stop in front of Jeremy Blackwood's tent in the meadows.
Steady, Silver. Easy, boy. Jeremy.
Hey, what?
Quiet. I don't want anyone to hear us.
What? It's you.
Yes, Jeremy.
You don't have to tell me you got there too late. But what I'd like to know is, did you see him at all? When we rode out today, we couldn't find a sign of him.
Johnny isn't dead.
Huh? But his horse come back here without a rider.
I know, but he isn't dead. Don't tell anyone else that, though.
Not if you say not to, but leaping cactus, you really mean it?
Not so loud. You've got to keep it a secret until tomorrow night.
Oh, Kino, what's the game?
You ride up to our camp on the ridge tomorrow, and I'll explain everything. Tonight, I want to talk with Rance. Where is he?
In the marshal's cabin in town.
What's that?
Yeah. When the posse started out, he just naturally started giving the orders. He's just elected himself to the job. When we got back, he moved into the cabin.
He won't hold off us long. Adios, Jeremy. Until tomorrow.
Until tomorrow.
Easy does it, Silver. Hope the door's unlocked. Good. That must be the bedroom. Wake up, Rance.
Hey.
No call for help. You're covered.
You're masked.
Yes.
What do you want?
You think there wasn't a witness to that shooting on the trail the other day, but you're wrong.
What are you talking about?
Johnny Maitland.
You saw it?
I said there was a witness, and he's going to talk unless you buy him off.
Me? What have I got to do with it?
That bluff won't work. Do you want him to talk or not?
And it wasn't you?
I'm working for him.
What's his proposition?
That won't be made to you alone.
Huh?
Here's a message. Get all your men together and lead them out of town tomorrow night. Follow the trail that starts at the Twisted Pine. Keep on going into the forest until you reach a clearing. There'll be a campfire burning there, but there won't be anybody around it. Just sit down and wait.
I don't savvy.
You will. And the time's important. Don't hit that trail until 10 o'clock.
What if I say no?
You don't have to ask that question.
But why can't you tell me how much he wants, and what have the men got to do with it?
You'll find that out tomorrow night. I'm leaving now. Don't try to follow me. Because if I don't get out of town, your chance is gone.
What shall I do, Cedric?
One thing you've got to understand right now. You can't involve me in Johnny Maitland's death.
Does that mean you're going to double-cross me?
No, I want you to be the marshal of Mountain City. I'll give you the best advice I can. But if it isn't good enough, you can't take me to jail with you. You wrote the note, you got Running Fox to deliver it, and...
You planned the whole thing.
And you and your men did the shooting. Now, if there's trouble, just be smart. Keep quiet, and maybe I can help you.
Yeah, I'm going to clear out right now.
No, you're not. You say this hombre wore a mask?
Yeah.
That means he's an outlaw. He wouldn't dare talk to anyone around town.
Well, that hombre with the mask wasn't the one who saw us. It's somebody else.
Maybe and maybe not. Anyway, if there is somebody else, you've got a chance to meet him tonight.
He wants me to bring the boys, too.
That's fine. That's just fine and dandy. Don't you see, Rance? Follow his instructions like he told you. Listen to his proposition, and then you let him have it.
How much farther, boss?
How should I know? Till we reach the clearing and the campfire.
The trees are thick. It's awful dark. You could hide an army in there.
Yeah, this hombre hasn't got any army, or he'd play the game a lot different. There's 10 of us. That's plenty.
There's a light up ahead.
Must be the clearing. Come on, boys.
How long do we wait?
As long as we have to. Listen, I hear somebody coming out.
Just one man. Just one man, boys.
I see you followed orders, Rance.
Yeah. Aren't you coming any closer?
I'm keeping out of the light.
I can see you got a mask on your face, or it looks that way.
I have.
But you aren't the same hombre that talked to me last night.
No, I'm the witness who saw the shooting.
Oh, then you're the one we came to meet. What's your proposition?
I want all the stores and the gold you got from those raids on the Great Western Wagon Train.
Well, you're local, mister. We never raided any wagon trains.
You can have most of the stores. They don't interest me much. Where's the gold hidden?
We haven't got any.
Don't forget, I can send you all to the gallows.
That's right, boss. Now that you're marshal, we can pull some other jobs. Let him have the Great Western Gold.
Shut up, you fool.
Now do you see why I wanted you to bring the men along, Rance? I know how they'd feel about this.
Uh-huh.
Well, where is it?
A long way to the south. We'll take you there.
Oh, no, thanks. You go and get it. Bring it back here tomorrow night.
All right, if that's the way you want it.
Don't reach for your gun, Rance.
What are you laughing at, boss?
Took me a long time to get on to it, but now I'm sure. We aren't paying anybody off. And if you hadn't talked so much about the gold, we'd be sitting pretty.
Huh?
Now we gotta finish the job.
What do you mean?
That's Johnny Maitland over there. That's what I said, Johnny Maitland. I know that voice. Sure, he was a witness to the shooting. But he wasn't sure it was us, or he would have tried this trick.
You've admitted everything now.
And you figure that's going to do you any good? Oh, no, mister. You aren't going to get out of these woods alive.
I got you covered.
Shoot, Slim.
Yeah.
But that flash came from over the right to somebody with him.
Not just somebody. It's the Lone Ranger.
There's only two of them, boys. We can shoot a way out. Scatter that fire.
Won't work, Rance. The whole clearing's surrounded.
Surrounded? It's a trap. You led us into a trap.
He's bluffing.
Not this time, Rance. Close in, men.
He's telling the truth.
You haven't got a chance. Now throw down your guns and reach for the sky.
Don't shoot, mister. My gun's on the ground. You shot it out of my hand.
You got him, Johnny. Got the whole mangy crew.
Yes, Jeremy.
You can't arrest me. I'm the marshal here.
There ain't been any election yet that I can remember. Oh, sure, Dad, but we're holding one right now. And Johnny Maitland's our man. How about that? Yes, and here's your star, Johnny. I'd never have turned that over to Rance.
You're under arrest, Corby, in the name of the law.
All right, go ahead and arrest me. You got no proof that'll stand up in a court of law?
Ah, you plumb loco, mister.
There were 20 men close enough to hear everything you said tonight, Rance. There's another witness against you.
Huh?
Bring him here, Tonto.
You come this way.
The engine.
Yes, Running Fox. He's admitted delivering the note that was supposed to send Johnny to his death.
Double-crossing crook.
He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't know what was in the note, and your message meant nothing to him.
Sure, he told Johnny he come from Rose, but he thought you was Rose.
Running Fox, you'll tell the same story to the judge that you told us, won't you? Rance, his testimony will send you to jail for 20 years.
Good riddance, I say.
There's only one way you can lighten your sentence.
How's that?
Tell us who gave you the orders.
We got our orders from Rance. It wasn't our idea. None of it was.
And you, Rance?
I got nothing to say.
It's your only chance.
I got nothing to say.
Take him away, men.
Now, wait just a minute.
Let go of him. Well?
I've heard of you, mister. Sure, I gotta admit that. Maybe you met up with some tough hombres in your time and come out the winner. But you don't know what you're up against in the mountains.
I think I do.
You couldn't. If I wanted to, I could mention the name of a man who ain't never been beat. He's got money and power. Not just around here, but all over the United States. Now, where do you suppose you're going to end up against somebody like him?
That remains to be seen.
You don't even know who I'm talking about. If you did...
Yes, I do. And if you don't want to mention his name, I will. It's Jacob Webster.
I guess I tipped you off. Well, mister, maybe I'm going to jail for 20 years, but you won't live that long. Come on, I'm ready.
How to bring Selber and Scout, Timothy?
We'll be on our way then, Tonto. Rance is taken care of. We still have Sedley to watch. And after Sedley, Webster. Steady, big fella. Come on, Silver!
Get him up, Scout! Get him up! Come, Silver! Hoy!
The story you have just heard is a copyrighted feature of the Lone Ranger Incorporated.
Soldiers, sailors, Marines, sound off! Well, hiya, men. Come on, fall in, and let's grab a bit of sharp swing, the kind that's mellow and fine. This is old Hepcat Harry Von Zell under the gun to sound off with the 4 tunes elected by your votes and ballots. Say, the interest you've manifested in this jive jump is really appreciated. Special Service, Los Angeles, USA, has the 4 winners all ready for the grand showing, so tuck in your socks and latch on to your own tune parade here. The first selection in this election is a current favorite here at home, and ballots from England attest to its popularity. Number 2, A Symphony in Blue. The title don't get around much anymore. Fred Waring's orchestra with Donna Day taking excellent care of the vocal. What'd you say, Donna?
The Saturday dance. Heard they crowded the floor. Couldn't bear it without you. Don't get around much anymore. Thought I'd visit the club. Got as far as the door. They'd have asked me about you. Don't get around much anymore. Oh, my darling, I guess my mind's more at ease. But nevertheless, why stir up memories? Been invited on days. Might have gone, but what for? Awfully different without you. Don't get around much anymore. Don't get around much anymore. Baby, I couldn't bear it without you. Don't get around much anymore. My darling, I guess my mind's more at ease. But nevertheless, why stir up all those memories? Just don't do no good being invited on days. Might have gone, but what for? Awfully different without you. Don't get around much anymore. Don't get around much anymore.
Oh, Donna, honey, you don't have to get around no place but right here. Yes, sir. Sweet is the word for music like that. But now, men, let's glance at the score of number 4. This refreshing arrangement landed on the hit parade the second week it hit the air, so you know the stuff is well nigh perfect. Using an offbeat, the old professor outdid himself in bounce music for the cats who like to glide and slide. This tune was especially given the checkered flag by the gang in China, so here it comes with Kay Kaiser and all the kids. Say, Harry Babbitt, what's the name of this?
Why don't you do right? Why don't you do right? Come on up here, Julie Conway, and do right, gal. I know you'll do right by the guys who are going to hear this song.
Now you had plenty money, 1922. You let other people make a fool of you. Why don't you do right like some other men do? Oh, get out of here and get me some money too. Jack, you're sitting down wondering what it's all about. Ain't got no money, they will put you out. Why don't you do right like some other men do? Oh, get out of here and get me some money too. Prepared 20 years ago, you wouldn't be wandering now from door to door. Why don't you do right like some other men do? Get out of here and get me some money too. Why don't you do right like some other men do?
Now, what's the matter with a man won't do right with a gal like that Julie Conway? Well, attention, men, we proudly present your sound-off special for this bargain basement broadside. If you like good skin thumping, you love the way Brother Ray McKinley caresses the hides on this classic from yesterday. The man fairly fumes when he takes off. This aristocratic arrangement of Lonesome Road is played by Will Bradley's band, but the spotlight shines on the noble brow of said McKinley. Beat it. Oh, man, has anybody got a cold shower in their pocket here? Many a cutter has lost his rudder bouncing to stuff like that. Well, that was number 3 on this swing spree, and now we shall see what we shall see. The number 1 tune on your 4th favorite foursome just ran away and hid from all the rest this time. Maybe it's because Hoagie Carmichael wrote such fine music and lyrics. Maybe you like this knocked-out arrangement. Anyway, the gang and the Solomons say amen to the tune Stardust. The band, Tommy Dorsey. The vocalists, Frank Sinatra and the Pied Pipers.
Sometimes I wonder why I spend the lonely nights dreaming of a song. The melody haunts my reverie, and I am once again with you. When our love was new, and each kiss an inspiration.
Oh, but that was long ago, and now my consolation is in the stardust of a song.
And beside a garden wall, when the stars were bright, you were in my arms. The nightingale told its fairy tale of paradise where roses grew. Though I dream in vain, in my heart it always will remain. My stardust melody, the memory of love's refrain. I dream in vain. In my heart it always will remain. My stardust melody, the memory of love's refrain. The memory of love's refrain.
Oh, that's sweetly solid. Well, that's it, gang. We've pitched ourselves a ball, and I hope you enjoyed the tunes that made your tune parade on Sound Off. These are the selections you voted to hear, so get busy now and pick out some more. Get all the votes you can and send them to Sound Off, Special Service, Los Angeles, USA. You catch the address? Special Service, Los Angeles, USA. That's all there is to it. We count the votes and then give you the results. Until then, this is Hepcat Harry Von Zell, reminding you that Sound Off is presented for you fighting men of the United Nations by the Special Service Division of the War Department of the United States of America.
It's 8:30. 8:30.
It's 8:30 New York time. Time to wake up, America, and stump the experts. Each week at this time, Lucky Strike invites you to a nationwide quiz and conversation party. Here's how it goes. You furnish the questions, and our experts try to answer them. For every question used, Lucky Strike will reward you with $10 in defense stamps. If the question is muffed, you get a total of a $50 defense bond plus the 24-volume set of the Encyclopedia Britannica. Send your questions to Information Please, 480 Lexington Avenue, New York City. If our editorial staff edits your questions a bit, don't fret over it. In case of similarity, we'll have to be sole judge of who shall be paid. And all questions become the property of Information Please. And now light up a Lucky Strike as I present our Master of Ceremonies, book reviewer of the New Yorker magazine, Clifton Fadiman. Mr. Fadiman.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, Information Please, as always, is completely unprepared and unrehearsed. Our panel of experts includes our three regulars, Franklin P. Adams, Oscar Levant, and John Kieran, and as our guest of honor, the famous author Emil Ludwig, whose recent book, Bolivar, has been highly praised. Now, we're going to begin with a question from R. Kessler Searles of Mount Vernon, New York. Get 3 out of 4 on this if you can. It's about certain circumstances under which certain things were opened to release or admit other things. For example, what was opened to release all the ills of the world? Mr. Ludwig.
The Pandora.
Yes, not Pandora.
What do you call it?
The box. The box, yes, the box of Pandora. What caused Pandora to open the box, Mr. Ludwig? Why did she do it?
Well, it's a terrible story, but
It's terrible. Don't want to tell it?
Curiosity.
Just plain curiosity, yes, and gave us all the ills of the world.
If she hadn't done it, somebody else would have.
I suppose so. Now, what was opened to release the dangerous winds of the world? The winds of the world, Mr. Kieran.
Well, the cave of Aeolus was king of the winds. He opened the cave.
Well, you've got the right man, I think. But what actually was opened that from which the winds were released? Was it the cave or was it the bag in which the winds were confined?
Well, it's a cave in Virgil's Aeneid.
I thought it was a bag in which these 4 winds were confined.
It's been a bag lately.
I don't know. At any rate, it was the crew of Ulysses who untied these winds, and that Aeolus had bidden them not untie. Now, how about something that was open to admit the beasts of the world, or to release all the beasts of the world? Mr. Kieran.
The Ark, Noah's Ark.
Yes, Noah's Ark, quite right. And what was open to admit a concealed foe, an enemy, a disguised enemy? Mr. Adams.
A wooden horse.
Yes, and under what circumstances?
Siege of Troy.
Under the Siege of Troy, the famous Trojan horse.
Also, a jackpot is frequently opened under such conditions.
Mr. Levant, did you have another answer for that one?
In a succinct way, I was going to say the Trojan horse.
The Trojan horse, very good. Well, that was rather easy. Now, let's see if we can get a little more difficult question. Here's one from Dr. C.D. Larson of Bethesda, Maryland. Get 3 out of 4 again. Who was the first president of each of these countries? The first president of Czechoslovakia. Mr. Ludwig.
Masaryk.
Masaryk,
the best man
yes.
we had.
Pardon?
The best man we had in Europe.
And we're going to have others just as good in the future. Now, that date of Masaryk's assumption of the presidency was what? When did he come?
18.
In 18, yes. The first president of Colombia. The first president of Colombia. Mr.
Nicholas Murray Butler. He's the present president.
He's not merely the present president, but probably permanent president.
He always was.
That isn't the Colombia I meant.
It's hard to get in.
I meant Colombia, yes, Mr. Adams, thank you. The South American country of Colombia had as its first president whom? Colombia's first president?
Colombia.
No.
Simon Bolivar.
Simon Bolivar is right, yes.
Bolivar.
Bolivar.
Do you have to say Bolivar,
Yes,
Mr.
Bolivar or not?
Yeah. I don't think we're ever going to get used to saying Bolivar up here, Mr. Ludwig and Mr. Kieran. Bolivar, we say. In 1819, yes, was the first president of Colombia. Mr. Ludwig was too modest to answer that question. I knew he knew the answer. The first president of Turkey. First president of Turkey. Mr. Kieran.
Mustafa Kemal.
How do you suppose we pronounce that, Mr.
Kemal.
Kemal? Yeah. Can't you make Mr. Kieran
Kemals
wrong,
are
Mr.
coming.
Ludwig? Yes, Mustafa Kemal. He was given another name. Remember the name he was given later on?
Yeah. Atatürk.
Atatürk. What does it mean, Mr. Ludwig?
The strong
Yes,
man.
well, I think head Turk.
Yeah.
Number one Turk, as it were. Now, the first president of the Philippine Islands, gentlemen, was who? Mr. Kieran.
Well, I think it's Manuel Quezon.
Yes, elected in 1935. Well, that gives us 4 presidents out of 4. Now, how about this one from Mrs. H.F. Jurgen of Upper Montclair, New Jersey? This is a musical question. You're going to hear 3 musical selections. I want you to identify for us the composer of them and the person who was honored in each of them, in whose honor this selection was composed. Let's have the first. I have 2 hands. Mr. Ludwig? Who was the composer of it?
That's the March of the Eroica.
Yes, well, you say that as if it were obvious to everybody, but it isn't obvious to me.
That's the story of Napoleon.
Yes, it was in honor of Napoleon. Mr. Levant had his hand up and was no doubt going to say the same thing. Mr. Levant, is it true that the Eroica was composed to honor Napoleon? Is there some question about that?
Well, he originally had the name on the manuscript, and he scratched it out after Napoleon betrayed ideologically what Beethoven thought he was. But I don't see that it answers anything.
You mean Mr. Ludwig?
It was not actually dedicated to Napoleon.
No, but it began, when he first composed it, he did intend to honor Napoleon with it. At least that's the story. Mr. Ludwig?
It was in a certain sense dedicated because he wrote in Italian, Buonaparte, Luigi da Beethoven.
That's enough
That's
for
a
me.
dedication.
That settles it as far as I'm concerned. All right, listen to the next musical selection and identify for us the composer and the person who was honored in it. Mr. Levant had his hand up from the second note.
That's by Ravel.
Right. What's the selection called?
It's a minuet.
Yes, and the selection
From the
was called...
Tombeau de Couperin?
From the Tombeau de Couperin, yes. Who
Actually, it
Couperin?
was dedicated to one of the soldiers. There are 7, I think, pieces, I'm not sure, in the suite. And each piece is dedicated to a fallen French soldier, a contemporary of the last war of Ravel's. The Entente suite is not dedicated to Couperin. It's in the style of Couperin.
Oh, it is not intended to honor Couperin, then?
No, I think it's the French tribute to the essence of French music, which Couperin and others represented of an early period.
Thank
But
you,
the
Mr.
pieces individually were dedicated to soldiers.
That's a perfect answer, thank you. Now, how about the third and last of these musical selections? I get a blank look from... no, I don't. I get... how about Mr. Kieran on this?
Franklin D. Roosevelt Jones.
Yes, there isn't much question as to who's being honored there. Right. Now, the next question comes from Francis McGuire of Brooklyn, New York, and it's about famous knights. This is K-N-I-G-H-T-S, knights. Who were these knights? The first is the Knight of the Rueful Countenance, the Knight of the Rueful Countenance. Who was that?
Mr. Ludwig doesn't know what rueful means.
Well,
I
rueful,
can help it.
Mr. Ludwig, I'll tell you what rueful means. It means sorrowful or melancholy.
Tristan.
No, he was a sad knight, that's true, but that's not the one I mean. It's Don Quixote, Don Quixote. Sometimes it's translated as Knight of the Woeful Figure, but rueful countenance is the description generally given to him. Now, here's another. The Knight of the Swan. The Knight of the Swan. Mr. Levant.
Lohengrin.
Lohengrin, yes. And a very parfait, gentile knight. Who was that?
Parfait?
Parfait is right.
Ice cream?
Not in this case. Mr. Adams?
Probably it was either Galahad or Lancelot.
Or Parsifal.
No, this is a specific knight, and I've quoted the exact word.
The knight in Chaucer.
I wish you'd said that first, Mr. Adams, because that's quite right. I'll have to count it wrong, because you gave us the wrong answer first. Yes, it's Chaucer's knight, as described in the prologue to the Canterbury Tales, a very parfait, gentile knight. And the word gentil, G-E-N-T-I-L, what does that mean, used in Chaucer's language?
Kind.
I think something more specific than that. I think it means of high-born.
Gentle blood.
Yes, of gentle blood, meaning of a good lineage. That gives us 2 wrong and sends a $50 defense bond to Miss McGuire and a set of the Britannica. How about this one from Mary Kersey of this city? Now, we all listened on Washington's birthday to President Roosevelt's speech. In this speech, the president mentioned 4 main lines of communications, and he also mentioned 4 freedoms. And I think he wanted us to understand by that the 4 freedoms can only be achieved by keeping the 4 lines of communication open. Now, what are the 4 main lines of communications? Mr. Levant.
First, I'll do the southwest line, which is from lower Southern California to Australia. That's one line.
That would be the
southwest line, South Pacific.
Yes, quite right.
You want some more? Let
I'd
Mr.
like
Kieran take it.
3 more. Mr.
Well,
Kieran, take it up.
From here northeast to England, another would be...
Yes, so let's call that the North Atlantic,
North Atlantic,
shall we?
then there is the 2 ways in the South Atlantic, one around the Straits of Magellan and the other around the Cape of Good Hope.
Well, one would be the South Atlantic and the other would be the... through what ocean?
Well, you would go around into the Indian Ocean.
Into the Indian Ocean, yes. That would be the 4th line of communication. The North Atlantic lane, the South Atlantic lane, the Indian Ocean, and the South Pacific. Now, the 4 freedoms for which the United Nations are fighting, we should know those by heart. The 4 freedoms. Mr. Adams.
Press?
I think not press.
Religion?
Religion is one.
Speech is another.
Speech is another.
The choice of religion, I think.
Pardon?
Religion, but it's phrased so that you can choose your religion.
Yes,
you don't have
complete freedom of religion, and freedom of speech gives us 2 of the 4 freedoms, and the other 2, which are not included in our Bill of Rights, but which
freedom
are perhaps
from
implicit.
Something.
Freedom from what?
Fear.
Fear.
From fear and freedom from, gentlemen, we should get
Want.
this. Want is right, yes. Freedom from want and freedom from fear. Now, the next question comes from Sally Weissman of Webster, Massachusetts. Get 3 out of 4 on this. Suppose, gentlemen, that you were serving a full dinner, and you wanted your guests to drink all of the following wines that I'll mention. With which course would you serve each wine? Now, the first wine is claret. With what course would you serve claret, Mr. Ludwig?
To the meat, to the roast beef.
Yes, that's quite right. With the roast.
With spaghetti, too.
With spaghetti, if spaghetti is a course. Sure. And how about dry sherry? What would you serve dry sherry with, Mr. Levant?
If you want to make a guest sleepy, you always give him dry sherry. I would do it before dinner.
Yes, you could serve sherry before dinner, but if you were serving it with the dinner, what course would, Mr. Adams?
Probably with the soup.
With the soup, yes, quite right. Now, how about...
You can have it in the soup, too.
You can have it in the soup if it's turtle soup. How about chablis? Chablis, Mr. Kieran.
I'd serve that with the fish slightly chilled. Not the fish.
What is chablis?
It's a white wine.
It's a white wine. Comes from, or did come from, what country?
Well, I think that Chablis comes from Burgundy.
Yes, it's in the Burgundy
white
region
Burgundy.
Of France. That's quite right. A very dry...
some are not dry enough.
Some are not dry enough, then they're not Chablis. They're just Chablis under that under a similar label. Mm-hmm. How about... now we come to port. Port. What would you serve port with, Mr. Ludwig?
I would serve it to the sweets on the end.
Yes, I think most of us would. With the dessert at the end, Mr.
Or the
Kieran?
cheese.
Or sometimes the cheese. I think probably you'd serve
In
a
England,
Burgundy.
it's cheese.
It's in every English story, too. And they always get gout.
Generally, yeah. Or you could serve the port with nuts and fruit sometimes at the end of a dinner.
Throw it
with
away,
dessert,
too.
Generally. Now, so far, Lucky Strike has paid out one $50 defense bond and 1 set of the Encyclopedia Britannica. Now, Mr. Cross points out that the things you know about tobacco are much too useful to file and forget.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know as well as anyone that in a cigarette, it's the tobacco that counts. But in actually choosing a cigarette, do you stop to think of tobacco? If not, you may be missing out on a lot of real smoking enjoyment. For mildness and better taste depend on fine tobacco. That's why Lucky Strike consistently pays the price to get the finer leaf at market after market, year after year. For example, at auctions in Williamston, North Carolina, season of 1939, the American Tobacco Company paid 29% more for the tobacco it bought for its cigarettes and other tobacco products. Yes, 29% above the average market price published by the United States Department of Agriculture. And that crop, properly aged, mellowed, and blended with other fine crops, is in the Luckies you buy today. Mr. Fadiman, aren't facts like these worth every smoker's attention?
Mr. Cross, the facts speak for themselves, and I timed you at just 58 seconds. Now, how about a question from Mrs. R.T. Parsons of New Madison, Ohio? I'm going to give you the names of two people who played an important part in the lives of celebrities of the past or present, famous people. I want you to name that celebrated person. Now, I'm going to name two Catherines first. The first one is named Catherine, and the second is named Catherine, too. Mr. Adams?
Henry VIII.
Henry VIII, yes. What Catherines were they?
One was Catherine Parr.
Good enough.
And
Mr.
Aragon. Catherine of Aragon.
Catherine of Aragon. And wasn't there a Catherine Howard, too?
Catherine Howard.
So he ran to Catherine's.
That was Catherine with the K, though.
Catherine with the K. Oh, makes
He
all
ran
the
away
difference
from
in the
them,
world. Now I'm going to name two other people, women, Frederica Breon and Charlotte von Stein. Mr. Ludwig.
Goethe.
Goethe, yes. And perhaps these were not the only ladies' names that one could mention in connection with Goethe. Francis II and Darnley. Francis II and Darnley, Mr. Levant.
Mary, Queen of Scots.
Yes, Mary, Queen of Scots. And Hunter and Richards. Hunter and Richards, Mr. Levant.
That's tennis, Tilden.
Tilden, yes. They were...
Contemporary.
How were they connected with Tilden?
If they were contemporary, that means they were beaten.
Yes, well, they were his doubles partners. They may have been beaten at singles, but they were his doubles partners, famous doubles partners of Mr. Tilden. Here's one from F.J. Bruguiere, Jr. of Oakland, California. Again, a musical question. Each of the musical selections that you're going to hear should suggest to you a particular time of day. What time of day?
It'll be nighttime with me. I don't care when it was written.
Now, you watch. Let's have it first. Mr. Levant?
That's at dawn. That's from Peer Gynt. It's morning Stimmung. I don't know.
I'm surprised that you know that.
Why shouldn't I know it?
Well, I don't see how you can know it from experience. You've never been up early.
Every ballet dancer late at night dances to that.
Oh, very late at night is the same as dawn.
They
Yes,
try
I've
to tell you
forgotten.
it's dawn very late at night.
Right enough. Grieg's Morning. Very good. Now the second one. Mr. Ludwig?
Tristan.
I beg
No.
pardon?
Sorry, it's wrong. It's Afternoon of a Faun.
It's that? Oh, don't worry, Mr. Ludwig.
He
That
stole
often.
it from Tristan.
Well,
He stole it.
That's a typical German accusation, but I don't subscribe to it.
I don't think
He didn't steal it. I'll defend Debussy anytime.
They don't seem very reminiscent, but I'm not much of a judge. Yes, Debussy's Afternoon of a Faun. Well, that gives us morning and afternoon. Let's have the third and last. Mr. Kieran?
That's evening, Star of Evening, Wagner.
Yes, Taunt. Very good, Mr. Kieran. Good enough. Of course, having morning and afternoon would be pretty hard not to get evening, I suppose. That gives us 2 out of 3. How about this one from Helene Zonin of Greeley, Colorado? Now, in each of these types of literature, gentlemen, name a work in which someone refuses to pay a debt. Someone refuses to pay a debt. Now, what poem can you think of in which there is someone who refuses to pay a debt? This is not an easy question. This would be a famous English poem. Well, it's a tough one. It's in the Pied Piper of Hamelin.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Levant, what were you going
I
to
was
say?
going to say, brother, can you spare a dime? No.
Except that I don't think that
No.
would apply. Remember, in the Pied Piper of Hamelin, the mayor refuses to pay the Pied Piper after the Pied Piper has rid the town
2,000
of the
pounds,
rats.
I think, or something like that.
I knew you knew everything about it, Mr. Kieran, once I'd start you off. How about an opera? Can you think of an opera in which someone refuses to pay someone else a debt?
Yes.
Mr. Kieran.
Faust.
In Faust?
Mm-hmm.
Name the circumstance.
Well, he tried to refuse to pay his debt to the devil.
That would be right, Mr. Ludwig?
Very good.
Yes, very good. And I think also in the Rheingold. Mr. Ludwig, isn't...
They are only thieves.
It's
in the
all
Rheingold.
debts, that's true.
Every gods,
Yeah.
the German gods are all thieves.
They
in
are?
The Rheingold. Yes, 6 thieves.
6 thieves
Yes.
in the
5
Rhine...
and a woman.
Goodness gracious. Well, you remember in the Rheingold, Wotan had promised the giants, he had promised them Freya in return for the building of Valhalla, and then he refused to give her to the giants. Is that right?
It took us 4 nights after that to find that out.
Now, how about a story, a short story, in which someone refuses to pay a debt? This, again, is an American short story.
Is that 20 grand? No.
No, I don't think it is. Now, there may be several answers, but the only one I can think of is in Stephen Vincent Benet's famous story, The Devil and Daniel Webster. There, the Faust theme comes in again. You remember that the hero or villain had sold his soul to the devil, and then he gets Webster to get him out of it. I think that loses us a $50 defense bond going to Mrs. Arnon, plus a set of the Encyclopedia Britannica, and passes us on to a question from Martin C. Brooks of Worcester, Mass. Who or what has replaced each of these recently? Replaced. The Springfield. What has replaced the Springfield? Mr. Levant.
The G-A-R-A-N-D, the Judy Garland, or whatever it is. The Garand, the rifle.
Yes, the new air-cooled rapid
General MacArthur said it was a better rifle recently.
Yes, he's given it his okay. It's proved
he didn't
itself
say it from hearsay, I don't think.
Philippine, who bet he did. Now, who has replaced David Margeson? Who has replaced David Margeson? Mr. Levant.
A man named Griggs, Sir James Griggs.
Yes, I'm not
Ministry
sure
of, wait a minute now.
What portfolio is that?
Give me two chances. No, War.
War is right,
War.
Mr. Levant. Yes, Secretary for War in the British Cabinet. I don't know whether it's Griggs or Grig.
Grig.
I think it is. Thank you, Mr. Adams.
Well, people say Tibbets for Lawrence Tibbet. I don't know
what
it is.
They probably say Levance.
How about the replacement for Thomas Charles Hart, H-A-R-T? Who has replaced Thomas Charles Hart? Mr. Levant.
He's a Dutchman, a member of the Dutch fleet, and his name starts with H.
That's right. Very good.
That's pretty good,
It's
H.
very good. I didn't say it wasn't. Any of you remember the name of the...
It's the Dutch commander in the
right, Mr.
Far
Karen.
East.
What's his name?
Naval commander.
I think we should
Starts
know
with
his
H,
name.
John.
Very important to us, the Dutch Admiral Helfrich. That's now the chief of the Southwest Pacific Fleet of the United Nations. I'll call that right. Now, who replaced Boris Karloff? Mr. Levant.
In Chicago, Erich von Stroheim.
No, I don't mean
Replaced him where?
Oh, around here, more or less.
Well, I
Well,
mean...
you remember, eh? Mr. Kieran?
James Carradine.
No.
What do you
you're
mean?
on,
Is
you're
a
on the
horror
right track.
or is a charming man? Which?
Well, on February 13th, Mr. Karloff was supposed to be on this program.
T. Barra.
Yes, but I gave it to you, didn't I?
Well, it's a silly question, Frank.
Oh, I don't know. Sometimes the questions that you don't get do seem silly. Well, that gives us 3 out of 4, nevertheless. Remember that Mr. Karloff was afraid to come on this show on February 13th, and Mr. Ibarra substituted in his stead. Here's one from Frederick L. Gwynn of Chevy Chase, Washington. Why is... beg your pardon, Washington, Maryland. Why is the Iliad so called? Why is the Iliad so called, Mr. Adams?
Because it was about Troy, or Ilium.
Ilium, yes. That's the Greek name for it. How about the Bible? Why is the Bible so called? Mr. Kieran?
Because it's a book, the book.
The book, yes. Is it Greek for...
Well, it is Greek. I mean, the root is Greek.
Yes, Greek for the book or the scripture. Now, how about an atlas? We use an atlas. Why do we call it that, Mr. Ludwig?
Why the Atlas?
Well, why do we call it that? What is atlas?
A man who has the world on his shoulders.
Yes, the picture of Atlas supporting the globe. In the early maps of centuries ago, they used to show Atlas supporting the globe. It was a kind of a sign of a map. Well, that gives us 3 out of 3. Now, how about this one from Ada E. Gosler of West Lawn, Pennsylvania? Can you give me 3 quotations that express the general idea that if you don't like me, I won't like you? Mr. Adams.
Well, there's... No, I don't
No,
know.
take it back.
Oh.
Mr. Adams again? Mr. Kieran, while Mr. Adams is
If she
thinking.
be not fair to me, what care I how fair she be?
That would be a very good one. What's it from, Mr. Kieran?
It's from Waller, I believe, isn't it? Or
Well,
right.
it's from Wither, I think. But
George Wither.
George Wither,
Wither. The Shepherd's Resolution, I think, is the name of the poem. Mr. Levant.
Mine won't come out straight. If you could like a lady with a ukulele, or could like a lady like me,
I
something
can
like
hardly
that.
understand it.
It's,
It
I guess
come
that's
out
not
pat,
poetry,
It
is
doesn't
it?
come out quite right, no.
All right, I
You don't
withdraw.
like me, I won't like
I
you.
care for nobody, no, not I, and nobody cares for me.
That's a dandy, Mr. Adams. What's it from?
That's from the River Dee, I think.
Yes,
Miller.
the Jolly Miller of the River Dee. That gives us 2.
Love me and the world is mine.
That wouldn't express the sentiment exactly, I don't
It's not a
think.
bad return on Love Me, though.
Not so bad. Mr. Kieran?
when you walked out, someone else walked right in.
Well, that's a challenge. That's antagonistic.
That isn't exactly apposite, as Mr. Levant reminds us. There's a line from Burns. Nobody cares for me, I care for nobody. Except he writes it in Scotch, Mr. Adams, which I'm not going to reproduce.
That's like I'm nobody's baby.
Yes, except they didn't get royalties on it in those days. There's another line. I don't know about this. This is a song, I guess. I don't want to play in your yard if you won't be good to me. Is there a song like that? Oh, you know it, Mr. Adams. That gives us only two, I'm afraid, and sends a $50 defense bond to Miss Gessler. Here's one for Mrs. Donald Dewar of Byron, Illinois. Can you name three well-known people, members of the same profession, who play these instruments? Double bass, cello, and piano. Now, they're all members of the same profession.
Yeah.
Mr. Levant.
Conductors. Kusevitsky, the double bass.
Right.
Arturo Toscanini, the cello.
Good.
Piano, Bruno Walder. Fritz Reiner. Nobody wants me to conduct, and I don't conduct very well, but I play the piano.
How about,
I want you.
How about the washboard, the harmonica, and the fiddle? Washboard, harmonica, and fiddle. Mr.
That's the
Levant.
St. Louis Cardinals when they had the musical combination. Fiddler
That's
McGee,
right. That's very
Pepper
good.
Martin. Go ahead, John.
Frenchy Bordegaray
That's
played the
right. And the
washboard.
harmonica, the accordion, and the piano, gentlemen.
What is that?
Harmonica, accordion, and piano.
Well, that can be
come
played
That
by
might be John Kieran.
It's Adams, Kieran, and Levant. Of course. Now, Mr. Cross points out the very obvious fact that an excellent way to find out where such and such a famous line of Shakespeare appears is simply to ask Mr. Kieran.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen. And by the same token, if you want to find out about the milder, better-tasting tobaccos, ask the independent tobacco experts. For they know tobacco as Mr. Kieran knows his Shakespeare, backward and forward. At markets all over the South, these independent buyers, auctioneers, and warehouse men see just who buys what tobacco and the prices paid. That's why their overwhelming preference for one cigarette, Lucky's, means a lot to you. So let me give you some examples of what the experts see at market after market, year after year. For instance, at auctions in Carthage, Tennessee, season of 1939, the makers of Lucky's paid 22% above the average market price published by the United States Department of Agriculture. At Pamplico, South Carolina, 34% more, and so on all over the South. And that crop, properly aged, mellowed, and blended with other fine crops, is in the Lucky's you buy today. No wonder that with independent experts, with men who know tobacco best, it's Lucky's 2-to-1. We suggest that you profit by their experience. Remember, Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. And in a cigarette, it's the tobacco that counts.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. This evening, Lucky Strike has paid out three $50 defense bonds and 3 sets of the Britannica. Thank you, Mr. Ludwig, for coming to Lucky Strike's party tonight. Now, next week, John Kieran and Franklin P. Adams will be on deck, and our guests will be, first, Jan Struther, lecturer and author of Mrs. Miniver, and Julian Huxley, one of the world's leading biologists. Now, remember, for every question that's answered correctly, the sender gets $10 in defense stamps, and for every question that stumps our board, you get a total of a $50 defense bond, plus the complete 24-volume set of the Encyclopedia Britannica. Send your letters with questions and the correct answers to Information, please, at 480 Lexington Avenue, New York City. And now, a parting message from Mr. L.A. Speed Riggs, famous tobacco auctioneer from Goldsboro, North Carolina.
When you hear that chant, ladies and gentlemen, remember these two important facts. That at market after market, we pay the price to get the milder, better-tasting tobaccos. And that with independent experts, with men who know tobacco best, it's Lucky's 2-to-1. Yes, Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. And in a cigarette, it's the tobacco that counts.
This program came to you from New York.
Dark fantasy. Convoy. Weary days. Hot and stink. 9 days. Not a sign of another boat. Another human. All those minutes. 9 boat. I can't believe yet that it's 1934. 9 days ago, I thought I'd get a scoop. How well I remember. I talked Winston Eberly into going with me, using his private yacht far out into the Atlantic, where things were happening. Together we defied precautions, offered ourselves as bait for some unseen devil beneath the waters of the Eastern Sea. And that was 9 days ago.
Well?
I've been on deck an hour. There's nothing.
I told you it was useless, didn't I?
I'm still not convinced that it is. Something has happened to those 3 missing ships.
Certainly something has happened to them. They simply sank, that's all.
But it isn't all. It's plain nonsense. Thinking those 3 boats went down with all hands on board with not a clue to their disappearance. Besides, what about their radios? Not a distress signal was picked up. All 3 cases.
I know, but that's still not a sign something... Well, something unusual has happened.
Well, just use your head, man. This is 1934. Boats just don't go down in the Atlantic without someone somewhere knowing about it.
These 3 certainly did. Just disappeared into nothingness without leaving a trace. And I still say something went wrong in each case that can be explained in a natural, normal manner.
And I say that you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, don't be so violent in what you have to say. After all, I've gone this far with you. I might as well see it through.
I'm sorry. Just anxious, that's all.
Yes. So am I. There's no sense biting each other's heads off. We may need them before we're through with this.
I've set the automatic pilot. All's clear.
Good. I'll go up on deck and have a turn at the wheel after a bit. Game of rummy?
No, I don't think so, thanks.
Poker?
No, thanks.
Got a cigarette?
Yes, somewhere. That last ship, the SS Clara Anna, went down just about where we are now. The other 2 somewhere in this vicinity. Oh, here's a smoke.
Thanks. Why do you say the ships went down in this vicinity, Adams? No one knows where they went down.
What I mean is they were last heard from within a vicinity of, 50-mile radius here. All of them.
I admit it would be a strange coincidence for all 3 of them to disappear in such a small area, but... Well, stranger things than that have happened at sea.
It's not a coincidence. Something has happened to those boats which none of us can explain. Something that isn't ordinary.
Mr. Everly.
Oh, what's that?
Brown in the radio room on the talkback system.
Mr. Everly.
Hand me that microphone, will you, Adams?
Sure, here.
Yes, Brown?
Just got a report that all passengers on those 3 remaining ships have been reported safe.
You mean the boats have been found?
No, sir. The passengers from all 3 ships were sent adrift in the lifeboats.
Well, what's happened to them?
Well, none of them seem to know. They're all in perfect health, though. But they're all in a stupefied condition, as though they've been drugged.
That's strange. Any further news?
No, sir, none. I just picked it up from a news broadcast from the States.
Thanks, Brown.
Now, what do you think, Eberly?
Strange. All hands from all 3 ships set adrift in the lifeboats, and none of them knowing what happened to them.
And all of them in a drug condition.
That doesn't make sense. No one could drug 3 boatloads of passengers.
Through the drinking water?
Half of them don't drink water when they're aboard.
Still, they were drugged.
But how, man? How?
That's another mystery I'd like to clear up.
Then perhaps you can.
What? I say.
Where did you come from? Who are you?
My name is Siegfried.
How did you get on board?
Where did you come from?
One question at a time, if you please. I came on board in the same manner I boarded the other boats lately.
The others?
The 3 others.
You're responsible for what happened to those boats?
Yes, I am.
But how? Why?
I needed them. for my own purposes.
You destroy them?
I sent them to the bottom of the Atlantic.
I repeat, you destroy them?
Quite the contrary. I used them to a very good advantage.
What do you mean?
Would you like to know?
I certainly would.
Then I shall be glad to show you if you wish. It will entail a trip to the bottom of the sea.
You're talking like a madman.
Am I? I regret you think so, because I assure you I am by no means demented in the slightest degree.
Those people set adrift in the lifeboats, apparently drugged. What happened to them?
It's naturally best that they do not know what happened to them. They were not harmed. They were carefully guarded against danger, and no harm shall come to them.
But the boats?
The cost of the boats and the inconveniences which naturally arise through their loss have all been taken care of. And each passenger has been repaid 10 times for everything he was forced to leave behind when placed in the lifeboat.
I don't understand all this. Who are you, anyway?
I shall tell you soon. But now we must make haste. Time is most valuable.
What are you going to do?
You told me you wished to see what I did with the 3 boats. I'm ready to grant your wishes and to take you to the depths of the Atlantic.
But,
you see, I need your boat.
My boat?
Yes. I've come to take it. I welcome you to go along with me, if you wish.
But where? What are you going to do with the boat?
I've already told you I need it. Together with the others, I have use for it. At the bottom of the sea.
That's perfectly ridiculous. No one has need for a boat down there.
I have.
How do you propose to take us there?
I cannot tell you that. You will merely do as I say. I will take you down beneath the surface safely, and I will return you safely.
How can we be certain of that?
I have given my word. You will find that the word of Siegfried always has been kept. Down through the ages, the centuries.
Centuries?
Hundreds of thousands of centuries.
Do you mean that you're actually a creature from the bottom of the sea?
I'm a man like you. I'm not a creature. Here, drink this.
What's that?
Merely what I gave the others. It's quite harmless.
I don't want it. Take it away.
I assure you that if you don't consume the potion of your own will, I have the means of seeing to it that you do.
Better do what he says, Everly. Here. I'll take the first draft.
You're a wise man, Mr. Adams.
Oh, you know my name.
I know everything. Now the potion.
As agreed. All right.
Now, Mr. Eberly, your radio man and mechanic have already been set adrift. They will arrive safely ashore within a few days. None the worse for their experience. Mr. Eberly?
No. No, I won't take it. Take it away. Get away from me.
Too late to change your mind now. You will drink all of this.
No, I don't want it.
I give you one more opportunity.
No, I refuse. I'm no fool. I won't take it.
Very well, then, Mr. Eberly. There.
What have you done to her?
I told you I had the means of compelling you to take the mixture. Now it's well with both you and Mr. Adams. I shall take your boat and the 2 of you along with it. Are you quite all right now, Mr. Adams?
Yes. Yes, I guess so. Where are we?
Where I promised to take you. At the bottom of the Atlantic.
It's so strange here. Light. Like the light above. This is almost like the place up there. Surely you're jesting. This is no spot beneath the sea.
Oh, but I assure you it is, definitely. Your stubborn companion is about to rejoin us.
What's happened? Oh, Adams, are you all right?
Yes, he's quite all right. And you, sir?
What in the world did you do to us?
I gave both of you an ancient formula, one which induces your spirit to leave your body momentarily. Then I brought you here and permitted your spirits to return again.
Where are we?
You are 50,000 leagues beneath the sea.
Why, we can't be.
So your companion thought, Mr. Heberley. You're both mistaken.
There's no water, no seaweed, no sign of underwater creatures.
No, indeed. That's because you've been brought not to just an ordinary place.
What do you mean? What place is this?
This is the ancient continent of Atlantis.
Atlantis, you say?
I've never heard of the place.
That's because you're not a student. Your friend Mr. Adams seems to know quite a bit about it.
Yes. An ancient continent, once located in the Atlantic Ocean. Thousands upon thousands of years ago.
And which disappeared beneath the surface of the Atlantic.
But that sinking of the continent began more than 1,000,000 years ago, according to our scientists.
And so it did. Slowly, over thousands of years, Atlantis began to decline, to be claimed by the waters, and new lands began to rise. South America, your continent, they had no existence in the days of Atlantis. And far to the west lay the mighty land of Mu.
But what about you?
Well, finally, after hundreds of thousands of years, all of Atlantis had been consumed by the hungry waters, except the island of Poseidonis, so named after the god of the sea.
Yes, I know that. Poseidonis was destroyed by volcanic eruption.
Not destroyed entirely, but the volcano's disturbance sent our land far beneath the sea, and that was 9,000 years before the death of Plato.
11,000 years ago.
Yes, roughly speaking.
But you say this land of yours wasn't actually destroyed.
No. There were in our land wise men from Greece, and together with our wise ones, they foresaw the volcanic disturbance and the sinking of Poseidonis.
Yes. This is the ancient island of Poseidonis. Last home of mighty Atlantis.
Yes.
And you have existed here all this time.
There is no time here. No death. Only life.
Amazing.
Now we're fighting to preserve our life, our civilization. After these 11,000 years, our existence is threatened by the vicious waters.
What do you mean?
I mean, we suddenly found ourselves without sufficient materials to keep our underwater fortress safe against the water's destruction.
Wait a minute. Now I'm beginning to understand.
We needed metal, and lots of it, to use for reinforcing the portions of our continent which was threatened by the water.
And that's where the 3 ships went, and Eberle's yacht.
That's correct, Mr. Adams. In our desperation, I saw no other solution. I chose the boats containing the most metal, went aboard, and saw to the complete safety of the passengers. And then our men brought the ships down here to be dismantled and to salvage the metal. Here, I will show you.
A sliding panel there. Half of the room sliding away.
You see out there? The men of Atlantis putting the final touches upon the patchwork that will make our fortress secure for hundreds of years to come, thanks to the metal from your continent.
Why, this place is just as modern and advanced as our civilization.
You will find in many instances that it's more advanced. Now I will show you that we are as honest and as upright as any other people of the world. This is the treasury of Atlantis.
Harvey, look! Jewels, gold and silver, treasures of every sort here.
The room is completely filled with valuable treasures.
Each passenger on those boats we confiscated received a portion from our treasure room, enough to more than repay him for whatever loss he suffered, and the boat owners were paid double the value of their vessels. When you return to the surface above, you will be given a portion likewise in payment for your yacht, Mr. Eberle.
I've never seen quite so many valuables together in one place in all my life.
Oh, come now. I've shown you the explanation of what has been happening. It's time we refresh ourselves, and time you were preparing for your return journey.
I knew I could find my way back to this vault. Just look at the treasure hidden here. Chest upon chest of beautiful jewels. Necklaces of pearl. Beads of precious jade. Loose gems and some set in the finest gold. And over there, bar upon bar of gold and silver. And some strange metal here I've never seen before. 100,000 fortunes hidden here, where no one will ever use them. What's that? The door. The light. Emily, are you in there? Adams?
Yeah, I've been looking for you. Is there any light in here?
Yes, just a second.
Close that door. What are you doing in this treasure room?
That fellow who calls himself Siegfried says we'll leave here soon, and I'm taking some of this treasure with me.
But he said you were to have a portion of it.
Yes, and pay.
There's enough with you.
I'm taking some he won't know about.
But you can't. It's not right.
What difference does it make? No one will use this stuff. Might as well take some of it where it's as gems as I can. I know I have the 11,000 years. He's about in his 11,000th childhood, I'd say. Here, hold these diamonds.
But I don't want any part of this.
I'll take care of getting them away from here.
Beverly, I advise you not to do this. Listen,
You could not conquer the worldly desire to steal our treasures.
You'll never use them.
Nonetheless, they still belong to us.
Why not let us take them where they'll do us some good? They're useless laying here.
I had intended to give each of you enough of the treasure to make you wealthy me from doing so.
Look here, Siegfried.
Those are loves to Adams have known better than 10,000 years ago in vice. Till the same greed and sin and iniquities included all evil, and so I gladly send you back where vote to pay for your. You get that before you reach the safer torture.
Days adrift, unweary days. Big sun or food. Unconscious in the bottom of the...
Moving. Lifting his head. Eberly.
Oh.
Eberly, man. Eberly.
Still
steady, man.
Oh, will this never end? Will torture never end?
Easy, man. Take it easy.
A month? 10 years?
Only 9 days.
9 days. Only 9 days. I can't stand it, Harvey. I can't stand it any longer.
Save your strength, man.
I'm going mad. I can't stand it. There in the bottom of the boat. The chest of treasure in payment for my yacht.
Eberly! Eberly!
What good will it do now? We'll be dead when we reach shore. Oh, we'll be dead.
Steady.
But nobody else will get it.
What are you going to do?
There won't be left here for anybody else. I'll see to it that no one else gets his hands on it.
Eberly!
He cheated us out of the rest of that treasure.
Eberly, don't jump!
No one else will get this.
Eberly!
I'll take
Eberly!
Dark fantasy.
You have heard Convoy for Atlantis, tonight's original tale of dark fantasy by Scott Bishop, originating in the studios of WKY and based upon an idea suggested by Ken Wright. Ben Morris was Harvey Adams, Murillo Schofield took the part of Winston Eberle, and Garland Moss was Siegfried, ruler of Atlantis. Next Friday, Dark Fantasy will be heard over most of these stations 25 minutes earlier. Listen for The Thing from the Darkness from Oklahoma City.
Presenting the adventures of Jungle Jim. The Adventures of Jungle Jim, broadcast weekly over this station, are dramatized from the full-color action pictures to be found in the Comic Weekly, the world's greatest comic supplement that comes to you each week with your Hearst Sunday newspaper. Join the 11 million adults and the 6 million youngsters who enjoy the world's best artists featured in every issue of the Comic Weekly, which comes to you with your Hearst Sunday newspaper. When Jim and Lil said goodbye at the Army airport, they both thought it would be for a long, long time. But after Lil left and the plane was ready to take off, some motor trouble developed, which delayed Jim's start. He and Kolu leave the plane to watch the Army crew change motors when an officer hands him a note. Recognizing Lil's handwriting, he was sure it was some sort of farewell message. But no, it was one of the most cruel documents Jim had ever looked at. Lil was the victim of a kidnap plot by some of the very spy ring that Jim thought was smashed completely. And by means of the note, they gave him 6 hours to release the 3 spies in return for the release of Lil, or else.
Hello? Yes, this is Colonel Barrett.
My name is Johnson, Colonel. Charlie Johnson. I work for the telephone company.
Yes? What do you want?
Well, I just got a code message flashed over the light circuit on a switchboard in central office, Colonel. And it's somebody who wants help from G2 when they sign themselves Dev.
I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson. This doesn't seem to make much sense to me.
Well, that's all the dope I have. It came in from the native quarter to the northwest. Someone cut in on the line with a message. SOS, tell G2, Dev. D-E-V.
Wait a minute. D-E-V. That could be for this office at that. Jim.
Yes, Colonel?
I think we have a lead. Where are you? At the Central Building?
Yes, sir.
We'll be there in a few minutes. Wait for us. Jim, don't hang too much on this, but a linesman in the phone company just received a flash message over a phone circuit. An SOS addressed to G2, signed DEV.
Why, that could be from Lil. Where did it come from, Colonel? We've got to trace it right away.
I'll just hold everything for a few moments. We're going right over and investigate.
I've taken that line off on a special board, and we'll keep an operator on it 24 hours a day.
Thank you very much, but we've got to trace that message to its source long before that. Time is the essence.
Is there no way to trace it at once?
Well, you see, sir, when a light flashes on a switchboard normally, that means that the receiver on the end of the line has been lifted, and someone wants to talk to the operator. But when this light flashed, the line was dead. No sound was coming through. The phone had never been lifted, understand?
Wait a minute. You say the line was dead, but the flashing still came through. How can that be done?
Well, there's only one way. Somewhere along the line, someone either by accident or design, and in this case the signals were so clean I'd say it was by design, someone stripped the insulation from 2 of the wires and touched them together, hoping to attract our attention at the central office.
Where does the line terminate?
Well, the subscriber is located in the native quarter about 3 miles north of here.
Well, tell me, does the wire travel in a direct line from here to there?
Well, not quite. The underground carries it out to Palm Boulevard, and then it goes up on the poles from there.
Well, how long will it take us to follow it to its termination and find out, if possible, where the insulation was broken and that message sent?
Well, to examine all of that line that's above ground, I'd say a day and a half.
Well, Mr. Johnson, this is a matter of life and death. And I mean just that. Death. Sudden and violent. If we can't trace that call to its source in less than 4 hours.
Well, the most likely place to start would be at the terminal point and work our way back.
Look, could that phone possibly be in a Jap name?
No, it's a native. I even know the guy. He used to work on one of our pole gangs.
Could you accommodate us with linesmen's outfits?
Sure. All 3?
No, I think my days of climbing trees and poles are just a memory. You and Kolo are still eligible for that job, but not me, Jim.
Well, we can set up 50 outfits if you want them.
No, just 2 will do. And can you come along with us to the end of this line?
Surest thing you know. Here we are, Mr. Bradley. That house contains the instrument at the end of the line.
Can we check that?
Sure, I'll go in and check it. You 2 fool around with the stuff in the truck here. It'll only be a minute.
You sure that message came from Missy Little Tuan, Jim?
No, Kolo, I'm not. But on the other hand, it wouldn't do anybody else any good, so it must have come from her. If it came from anybody.
Maybe some animal, like squirrel.
Well, if a squirrel did it, they'd have to know the Morse code, because the message was repeated at least 12 times.
Hello? Well, the phone check's in perfect order. So the message was sent by someone over this line, but not from this house.
Well, from where, then? We've got to find out and find out soon.
Well, just follow our noses, man, that's all.
Tuan, Jim, you must follow my nose. Kolo smell something.
Yeah, I smell garbage, too, but why do we have to follow it?
Kolo smell Japanese cooking. Come from there.
Well, the cable comes from there, too. Go ahead, Kolo.
Hey, what is this, some kind of a guessing game?
Yes. And a life is the prize for the right guess.
This way, Tuan.
Well, we're still following the cable.
What's wrong, Kolo?
Smell die down here. Get very faint.
Well, smell or no smell, that signal came from this cable, so let's follow that.
Well, that's what we came for.
Kolo will pick up smell again.
Hey. There's a funny situation at the house with the wall around it. Juts back so far, there's no room for a pole, and the cables run along under the eaves of the roof.
Well, I don't get the significance of that.
Well, don't you see, up to now, the only place anyone could get at the cable, except up on the pole, and that's silly, would be in that house.
Kolo find out in minute if Japanese be there.
Is this guy kidding?
No. Kolo has a nose as sensitive as a bloodhound when it comes to distinguishing odors.
Could be. I thought it was a gag.
Tuan Jim, this be house of Japanese people.
Well, it adds up, Kolo. You fellows start getting ladders, and I'll ring the doorbell. Maybe we can get inside, though I doubt it.
Yes?
I'm from the telephone company. We're trying to find a line break.
We not use a telephone now.
Well, can I come in to examine the connection?
No, you not come in. We not need telephone. You cannot come in.
What seems to be the trouble, Miyoto?
Telephone man, I want to come in.
We're just looking for a broken cable.
Well, why must you disturb our privacy to look for that which belongs to you?
Well, you see, unfortunately, the cables run along under the roof of your house in the back.
Unfortunately or not, we do not wish to be disturbed. Good day.
Hey, Kolo, they're Japs, all right. And you couldn't get in there except with a machine gun.
They get nasty, Mr. Bradley?
Not nasty, but very, very positive.
Tuan, you and Charlie come here. See, up there where wire go to building. Some go inside.
Well, I'll be a monkey's uncle. Oh, what a sloppy job. Whoever tapped that cable carried it right on into the building instead of making a splice on the pole.
You mean the line the message came from goes through the top floor of that building?
Oh, no, I ain't saying for sure till I check, but it certainly looks just like that. And what a sloppy job, too.
Never mind. You got some extension ladders?
Sure.
Get them.
All right.
We're going to check those lines, as long as they won't let us in. Now, look, have we got the right to do it from the outside without their permission?
Oh, absolutely. It's a felony to interfere with us or our wives. We'll have the law on them if they butt in.
I'm sure they're greatly afraid of the law.
Well, they'd better be. The ladder here.
Tuan Jim, let Kolo go. Put ladder near window. Give me big heavy tool. It must slip from my hand to break window. Yes?
Yes, Kolo. I don't see any other way.
I thought you wanted me to do the ladder work.
Well, this might prove to be much more dangerous than you'd imagine.
We're always taking chances. Once I had a pole snap on me like a toothpick. Never could figure out what really did happen.
Well, this is a different kind of a chance altogether.
One. This window All black on inside.
Let it have it.
Who is that?
Missy Lil.
Oh, Kolu. Kolu, I can't see. The light's so sudden, I'm almost blind.
Come here, Missy Lil. Here. You come down ladder with me. You open window.
Oh, I can't. It's just a frame nailed into place. It doesn't slide, and there's wire mesh on this side.
Stand back. Kolo fix.
All right.
Come now, Missy Lil.
Now I can almost see, Kolu. Where's Jim?
He be right at bottom of ladder.
Oh, how did you ever find me, Kolu?
Jim fix with telephone man.
You got my message then?
Come, Missy Lil. You get out window. Talk later.
All right.
Hey, you! Come back here. I kill you.
Come, Missy Lil. Hurry.
Look out!
Hey, what's up?
There's a little guy up there who's trying to push the ladder over, and I'm trying to hold it.
Let go of that ladder.
Well, you asked for it. There. Hey, I can't hold this ladder any longer.
I'll help you.
Too late. They're coming down.
I'll get that little monkey anyway. You hurt, Kolu?
No. Not one, Jim. Big hedge. Break fall. Little scratch. We saved Missy Lil, too.
Lil, you're safe?
Jim. My Jim. My so dependable Jim. Of course I'm safe.
Yes, and I'm going to deliver you to the U.S. Army post and get a receipt for you. Then at least I'll know where you are. How do these guys ever get you?
Rather cleverly, Jim. They switched taxi drivers on me. By the time I found it out, it was too late.
Say, tell me, Lil, did you know what was in that note over your handwriting?
No, Jim, I never saw it. That's why I signed it Lillian, hoping you'd smell something wrong.
Well, they gave me 6 hours to swap the lives of the 3 members of their gang for yours. And if you hadn't sent those signals over the telephone wire, boy would never have found you.
Well, what could you do?
Why, turn them loose. What else?
Oh, Jim. Why, you do that for me?
Well, let's not discuss such a subject anymore, Lil.
One, Jim. The one who fall from window break neck. I find this one in house, named Tawa. Only be 2 of them.
Well, they keep turning up like so many bad pennies. We've got to find that taxi driver, too.
This is Honorable Jim Bradley. Pleased to meet you.
Oh, no, you're not, you filthy rat. You're going to be sorry you ever heard of Jim Bradley.
Don't miss the next exciting episode of The Adventures of Jungle Jim. Remember, you can follow these adventures in the full-color action pictures to be found in the Comic Weekly, the world's greatest comic supplement containing the best full-color adventure and comic pictures. Remember, no other comic supplement can give you the top names of Cartoonland like the all-star favorites to be found in the Comic Weekly. The whole family follows the fun and frolics of Jiggs and Maggie, the Little King, the immortal Donald Duck, as well as the exciting adventures of Jungle Jim and Flash Gordon. Join the 11 million adults and the 6 million youngsters who every week find the greatest of home entertainment in the Comic Weekly, which comes to you with your Hearst Sunday newspaper.
City Station, cooperating with the College of the City of New York Defense Council, brings you another broadcast in our Saturday series outlining many phases of our war effort. A series we think every New Yorker will find of real interest in these days when science plays such a large part in supplying our war needs. Our studio guest this morning is Dr. H. Goldsmith of the Department of Physics, College of the City of New York. His topic, Atomic Physics in War. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Goldsmith.
Our success in this war
depends to a much greater degree than in any other war of the past upon superiority of scientific knowledge. In this war, the science of physics plays the same predominant role that chemistry did in the last. Now, the most sensational advances of the past few decades in the field of physics have emerged from the study of the structure of the atom. How does this study of the atom help solve some of the problems arising in our present emergency? Well, suppose we wish to build a bomber. Naturally, amongst the other materials we shall need are aluminum and rubber. Whereas our aluminum supply is at present adequate, our supply of rubber, which we will need for the huge tires of the bomber, is almost entirely cut off. If science can provide artificial rubber, it will have solved one of the vital problems of the war. Any scientist can tell you that rubber, like all other substances, can be broken down into minute particles called atoms. The major differences between materials, like rubber and potatoes, is due to a difference in the arrangement of their atoms. When we make rubber out of potatoes, we have merely juggled the atoms, that is, changed one arrangement of atoms into another. You are all familiar with other examples of this sort of synthesis: the production of nylon from coal, plastics from milk. Having solved the problem of the supply of raw material, we can proceed with the building of the bomber. The engine of a bomber is much more complicated and yet as precise a mechanism as the finest watch. In order to build such a mechanism, we need precision machine tools. But these tools must in turn be constructed with the aid of still other tools. Since each step in the process of tooling involves some error, it follows that the primary tools must be made with the utmost accuracy. The precision of the primary tools ultimately depends on the existence of precise standards of length. Our standard of length is the meter. However, most of us are not aware of the fact that this length is now measured by comparison with the length of a wave of light emitted by the atoms of an element called cadmium. To appreciate this, we may liken the atom to a miniature broadcasting station. You know that each of the broadcasting stations in this country send out radio waves of a specific length determined by the Federal Radio Commission. This program, for instance, is being transmitted by waves in which the distance between successive crests is about 1/4 of a mile, whereas WQXR uses waves of about half this length. In a similar manner, a particular atom, say hydrogen, will emit a whole set of waves, each of different length, determined by the internal structure of the atom, whereas some other atom, say helium, having a different internal structure, will send out a completely different set of light waves, each differing in length. Although the light waves which are broadcast by atoms are of minute dimensions, about 1/50,000th of an inch, the physicist has perfected various sensitive optical devices capable of measuring the length of these light waves with an accuracy exceeding 1 part in a billion. For reasons which we needn't enter into now, certain light waves of particular atoms, like cadmium atoms, are especially easy to measure accurately. It is the length of such a light wave which is at the basis of all our measurement of length in science and engineering. It follows that the very construction of plants to produce our engines is dependent on the fact that the physicist has succeeded in measuring the radiation emitted by atoms with uncanny precision. Other kinds of problems present themselves in the manufacture of the propeller and the armor plating of our bomber. Since the propeller must withstand the terrific stresses which result from the enormous resistance it encounters in pushing the air aside, it must be built with an emphasis on such properties as strength and hardness. For this purpose, we use alloys of the light elements aluminum and magnesium. However, we find that such properties depend very sensitively on the exact proportions of the ingredients we use to make up the alloys. Therefore, before the propeller can be used, it must be subjected to tests to determine the exact percentage of the various constituents present. Of course, such a test may be made by ordinary chemical analysis. This, however, has the disadvantage of requiring the analysis to be made on the completed product. It is furthermore a slow procedure. Though this is not a serious disadvantage in peacetime, during a war, our urgent need quickens the tempo of production, and science must provide us methods in which speed is attained without the sacrifice of accuracy. A fast yet accurate method for testing the ingredients of our propeller follows from our knowledge of the structure of the atom. The identification of the constituents may be obtained by a study of the light emitted by the atoms. We have already seen that each atomic type will emit a unique set of light waves. We examine the light emitted from the alloy while it is still in the molten state within the furnace by means of a spectroscope, an instrument which enables us to measure the length of light waves. This instrument and this measurement will permit us to identify the chemical substances present. If we also measure the intensity of the various light waves, we may obtain a quantitative as well as qualitative analysis. If we find that some additional material is needed, it may be added while the alloy is still in the furnace. Such a spectroscopic analysis may be completed in less than 10 minutes, and without interference with plant procedure, and without waste of material. This method is equivalent to being able to taste food as one cooks it, adding a pinch of this or that as required, instead of waiting until it is on the table before discovering what is wrong. A test of an entirely different nature may be required for the armor plate of our bomber. This test also stems from our discoveries in atomic structure. Suppose we have cast a thick plate of steel armor to protect a vital part of the plane. Suppose also we have already analyzed the ingredients by the spectroscopic method just described, and have found the required elements in their correct proportion. There is still a possibility of the existence of internal flaws, such as cavities, due to gas bubbles which became entrapped while the metal was still molten. Such flaws will seriously weaken the metal and will make it more vulnerable to bullets. To quickly disclose these flaws is literally a matter of life and death. The method used for the testing of the armor plate is similar to that used by your dentist for discovering a cavity in your tooth. Long before you are aware of the cavity through your nerve, tongue, or vision, the dentist can reveal its existence by the use of X-rays. X-rays are waves emitted by the internal part of the atom. They are similar to light waves, but are some thousands of times shorter in length. Due to their very short length, these waves can penetrate through solids like bone or steel. When X-rays are shot through a tooth containing a cavity, less will pass through the solid portion of the tooth than through the region containing the cavity. If we place a photographic plate against the tooth, different amounts of X-rays will reach the different parts of the plate, and the resulting shadow graph will reveal the cavity. In order to apply this method to the testing of armor plate, we must use X-rays which can penetrate solids more easily than the X-rays used by your dentist. This greater penetrating power requires a greater electrical voltage across the X-ray tube, millions of volts instead of tens of thousands. Fortunately, just such X-ray machines, operated at these tremendous voltages, have been developed within the past decade for the purpose of revealing the secrets of the innermost part of the atom, the atomic nucleus. Furthermore, these giant X-ray tubes have already been employed in the war which is constantly being waged against cancer. Today, these same X-rays are also used in order to guard our bombers from otherwise invisible faults. This is an apt illustration of the fact that a scientific discovery may be used for purposes of pure research into the fundamental nature of matter and energy, and at the same time be employed in both humanitarian and destructive appliances. Of course, the purpose of our bomber is to drop bombs. These bombs must be dropped from heights of over 5 miles while the plane is traveling over 300 miles an hour, and must hit relatively small targets, taking into quantitative accounts the vagaries of the atmosphere. This requires elaborate bomb sights, which are miracles of modern optical science. The optical parts, lenses and prisms, must be even more accurately tooled than the engines of our bombers. Furthermore, the maximum amount of light must get through these lenses and prisms for successful operation. This means that the reflection of light at the various surfaces must be reduced to a minimum. It has recently been discovered that this may be accomplished by placing on the glass surfaces of the lenses and prisms material just 1 atom thick. This same device may be used to help the pilot read the numerous dials on his instrument panel more easily by eliminating the glare from the glass faces of the dials. These illustrations will suffice to indicate how the discovery of modern atomic physics can provide solutions for the various problems which crop up at each stage of the building of a modern weapon of war.
Thank you, Dr. Goldsmith. Ladies and gentlemen, your city station, cooperating with the City College Civilian Defense Council, has brought you a program in the Role of Science in the War series. Our speaker this morning has been Dr. H. Goldsmith of the Department of Physics of the College of the City of New York, who discussed atomic physics in war. Now, for all those interested, copies of these talks are yours for the asking by merely writing to the City College Civilian Defense Council, 139th Street at Columbus Avenue, and enclose 10 cents to cover the cost of mailing. Now, there's another City College Civilian Defense Council series on the air each Thursday at 8 p.m., a series dealing with our stake in the war and the democratic way of life. Our program guest next Thursday is Professor Egbert M. Turner of the Department of Education, who will speak on freedom of education.
The Treasury Star Parade. Ladies and gentlemen, by electrical transcription, we bring you your old professor from the College of Musical Knowledge, Kay Kaiser.
Well, hi, folks. Hi-yo, and thanks, Larry. Say, chillin', we're certainly glad to be with you here on the Treasury Star Parade. We got a song or two and a laugh or so, and later on, a message from Uncle Sam about war bonds and stamps. A message that concerns every one of us. But right now, let's rip and snort to make it short. Come on, chillin'. Just dance. boy. Really done up brown. And now let's go to the other extreme, a beautiful new ballad called Somewhere, Sometime, written by George Doonan of our organization, and to be sung by Harry and the whole group. Let's listen.
Somewhere, sometime, I'll come back to you. Somewhere, sometime, when the sun shines through, we'll find peace and joy, dear, when these dark clouds roll by. Until then, remember the dream we shared, just you and I. Somewhere, sometime, though the days seem years, somewhere, sometime, we'll forget our tears, for though I must leave you, our love will keep me true. Somewhere, sometime, I'll come back to you. Maybe sometime, my darling, though the days seem years, although I must leave you, our love will keep me true. Somewhere, sometime, I'll come back to you.
Beautifully done, Harry and the gang. And you know, children, we feel a little laugh or two, a little nonsense is good for the children. And Uncle Sam gives us a nod and says, "You're right, son." So let's have a little of that right now. Old Ishkabibble's coming up here.
I'm so cheery, I'm okay to today. I am lucky, I will say to today. I am happy, I'm okay to today.
Why so happy, why so gay, today?
'Cause I found a peanut, I found a peanut.
Where did you find it? Where did you find it?
I found it in my pocket. I found it in my pocket.
What will you do with it? What will you do with it?
I'm gonna eat it. I'm gonna eat it.
What will it taste like? What will it taste like?
What will it taste like? What will it taste like?
Yeah.
It'll taste like a peanut, you gosh darn fool. Cade, you know, what's the difference between a duck?
Are you kidding?
No.
I don't know. What is the difference between a duck?
Well, you see, one of its legs is both the same.
Yeah.
Oh, I found a rabbit. I found a rabbit.
Where did you find it? Where did you find it?
Found it in my pocket. Found it in my pocket.
Oh, what will you do with it? What will you do with it?
Can you keep a secret? Can you keep a secret?
I promise not to tell. I promise not to tell.
Well, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it under my hat so I won't lose my hair. Poem. Georgie, Porgy, pudding and pie, kiss the girls and make them cry. Some fun, eh, kids? Oh, I found a penny. I found a penny.
Where did you find it? Where did you find it?
Found it in my pocket. I found it in my pocket.
What does it look like? What does it look like?
Looks like a penny. It looks like a penny.
What does it smell like? What does it smell like?
What does it smell like?
Yeah.
What does it smell like? It smells like a scent, you gosh darn fool.
Oh, man, was that silly? And now, a little rhythm song by Irving Berlin is called Me and My Melinda.
Me and my Melinda and me. We are bound up together in sympathy. Me and my Melinda, we are seldom apart. On the nights when I feel like the heart to heart. When I'm blue, we just sit there holding hands. And when we do, my Melinda understands. When I'm having trouble that I cannot disclose, when I can't tell the world of my private woes, long before I tell her, my Melinda knows. Melinda knows.
You know, we've tried to entertain you for a few minutes, and we certainly hope you enjoyed it. But now, for a moment, I'd like to be serious and have a little heart-to-heart talk with you. As we travel around the country, we see lots of good Americans, all of whom are patriotic and loyal, and they love their freedom, and all of them are optimistic about our winning this war. But patriotism and loyalty and love of freedom and optimism aren't enough. This is no time for complacency or taking things for granted or letting the other fellow do it or trusting to luck. It's up to us, up to you and me, because this is the most crucial period in our history, and we've got to face it. There can be no slacking up. There can be no letting down. Let's get up to peak production, and then let's keep those factories running at full capacity, those assembly lines moving at full speed. And let's you and I help ensure this by buying war bonds and stamps. Now Uncle Sam says buying them just once in a while or when it's convenient is not enough for us to win. We must put away a part of our income every week. So let's join a payroll savings plan wherever you work. And remember, when you buy war bonds and stamps, you are investing in our future and the future of America. This is our country. Let's keep it ours.
Thank you, Kay Kaiser, for a rousing good show. And certainly your inspiring message will reach right out to the hearts and pockets of all those who heard it. And now the United States Treasury thanks the old Professor Kay Kaiser and all his boys and girls who donated their talents to this transcribed program. Script for this performance was prepared by Hal Block and Al Miller. Direction by Ed Cashman. This is Larry Elliott speaking.
GI Jive. Hi, fellas. Time to get the AEF jukebox on the beam again. And this is Jill, well armed with records and the nickels to make 'em spin. The lead-off today comes out of the old Benny Goodman file, a record made in the days when the BG gang included such men as Gene Krupa and Harry James. Here's that old Benny Goodman band with Get Happy. on the turntable is a real GI song, written overseas by Sergeant Dick Hampton. Dick wrote it for the GI Journal's original Song of the Week department, and when Connie Haynes sang it on that program, yours truly made a record of it. I really think it's swell. It's spinning now for John, Fred, and Fritz at APO 503. Connie Haynes singing Gray Morning.
Raindrops trickling down, rooftops seem to drown. Neath the deluge coming from above, through the morning's gray, troubles fade away. That's what happens when a guy's in love. I can wake up on any gray morning with sunbeams spreading my silk. I can wake up on any gray morning and open my eyes with a thrill. This isn't strange, it's no melody. I've only fallen in love. People may frown, the rain may pour down, but I can see that sun above. Oh, I can wake up on any gray morning and wake up thinking of you. For thinking of you is a habit with me, to chase away troubles and chant misery. Although when I awake, gray morning means nothing but a day in the sunshine of you.
That was Gray Morning by Connie Haynes. And I'd also like to dedicate that to the man who writes the Talk of Tehran column in the Tehran Daily News. He says, and I quote, "Twice she has petrified our small gathering of red-eyed journalists by loosing oh, what a beautiful morning at them at 4:03, unquote. But enough talk of Tehran. Let's talk about Harry James. Several requests here for HJ from radio men Manley, Vandenberg, Gift, Lang, and Davis aboard a certain tanker, Corporal Earl Mateer, and the 14 Quartermaster boys of APO 920. They want Easter Parade, so Easter Parade by Harry James it is. Lionel Hampton fans, stand by, 'cause the Hamp is coming up just as soon as I change the needle in the jukebox. And while I'm doing that, I'll put in a request plug. Requests are more than welcome, fellas, so send yours along to me in care of GI Jive, Armed Forces Radio, Los Angeles, USA. Okay, Pops Hampton is ready if you are, and somewhere in the Central Pacific there's a Sergeant Decker Shuck who likes anything by Hampton. Well, how about Ring Them Bells, Sarge? Here it comes.
Mr. Stacy, ring them bells. Oh boy, the music swell. If you like it, just lift up your head and yell. Oh, mister, ring them bells. Toot 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 toot. Da 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 no do do say. Run it up, 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 run it up. Oh, mister, ring them bells.
Well, I guess someone else would like to have this beam for a while, so I'll sign off for now. I hope you'll all be on the listen tomorrow, fellas. And until then, this is your GI Gal Jill saying good morning to some of you, good afternoon to some more of you, and to the rest of you, good night.
This is the Armed Forces Radio Service.
At ease and listen to the folk songs of tomorrow.
nothing but love in you. Then if you fall once and for all, I'll see my dreams come true. Moments to spare for someone you care for, one love affair for two. I'm on my hands and you in my arms, and love in my heart, all for Did you ever see a dream walking? Well, I did. Did you ever hear a dream talking? Well, I did. Did you ever have a dream thrill you? Will you be mine? Oh, it's so grand, and it's too divine. Did you ever see a dream dancing? Well, I did. Did you ever see a dream romancing? Well, I did. Did you ever see heaven right in your arms, saying, I love you, I do? Well, the dream that was walking, and the dream that was talking, and the heaven in my arms was you.
Today's program in the series At Ease brought you One Night of Love, I Love Louisa, Let's Fall in Love, Time on My Hands, I Got Plenty of Nothing, Clavelitos, Did You Ever See a Dream Walking, I'm Through with Love, Smoke Rings, and The Moon is Low. The Armed Forces Radio Orchestra is under the direction of Major Meredith Wilson. Your featured soloist, Martha Mills. Les Paul on the electric guitar. This is the Armed Forces Radio Service.